live on YouTube, and listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.
I knew he had something prepared backstage, but I didn't realise what it was. But anyway, apart from that, good evening. I don't know why I said it like that, like it's some WWE entrance or something. But welcome back to the World of Football podcast. Hope you've all had a good week. And boy, have we got a bumper one for you tonight. A lot of things happened on the weekend. A lot of controversy happened on the weekend. But we're just going to get into it. Reece Russell, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, General Kenobi, and we've got a blockbuster in store for you this evening. We have got lots of topics. We're going to talk about Liverpool because Liverpool are shit, but to be fair, you could be as bad. You could be the billion-pound bottlers. So we've got lots and lots to get through, but I'm very well, thanks. How's everybody?
Fantastic. Antonio, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm looking forward to all the topics you've got in store for us, Nathan. So if we're doing WWE announcements and announcers,
I'm
then
already winning that.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble indeed and take out our Phantom deck. We will be getting onto the Geordies later on today, apart from that. But for me,
let's mug them off a bit.
Oh, we absolutely should. There's only one place to start.
Their deluded fan base.
We always know Sunderland are the better club. But aside from that...
And the bigger club.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Carabao Cup Final yesterday. Liverpool 1, Chelsea 0. Rife of controversy and quite possibly, in my eyes, one of the worst refereeing performances in a cup final I've ever seen.
I mean, I've seen worse, but it was horrific.
Yeah, it's one of the worst for me. Like... The Van Dijk disallowed goal was a disgrace. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't understand how that wasn't given. There was nothing wrong with it. Van Dijk was clearly.
I loved it personally. I loved it just because I found it interesting. I just found it interesting. Like, oh, new thought processes. I'm really into this. Let's see how you paint this picture.
I mean, I loved it because obviously it's a Liverpool disallowed goal. I mean, that's honesty. I mean, that is complete honesty. And I'd do the same if it was a Celtic goal or a fucking Inter Milan goal. But in all retrospect, like, it was a Liverpool goal. It was bittersweet, but it wasn't offside. I can't. If there's one thing I will never do in this show is lie. I mean, I'll take the piss out of Liverpool and all that, like, well and truly. Like, I will always do that. I'm committed to the cause of destroying them. But good. I've always prided on this show being unbiased. I've always prided on being honest, and I'm not swayed by public opinion. Hence why I say Luke Shaw must be sold from Man United. But in circumstance, that was not offside, the Van Dijk goal. It was well and truly onside, but I still credit VAR for getting it wrong. So thank you. But in circumstance, if that goal had gone in, Liverpool would have won that game in 90 minutes because, Chelsea, on paper, the strongest team, well and truly the strongest team, but you can be the strongest on paper, but you're not the strongest on the day. And Jesus Christ, they were outshot, they were outpassed, they were outgunned. They were dreadful. And Gary Neville, even though I think his commentary at times can be a little bit nuts, and I'm going to come out to commentary tonight because I've got a personal issue when it comes to commentary. It's not just myself in my house that agrees with this, to be fair, but it's an issue of mine. And we'll certainly come to that later on. But one thing I will say, though, is billion pound bottlers is generally the funniest thing ever. And I believe I said it 6 months ago. I think I said Arsenal were a worse bottler than Spurs. Mm-hmm. I think I might have to change my mind. I think Chelsea are a bigger bottler than Tottenham.
I think they are pushing for it because I know we spoke about it backstage earlier, but I mean, Tottenham don't get themselves into areas where they can be classed as bottlers. Like they're within no means of like reaching like
they've only
even coming close to a trophy or anything. They don't come close to it. And even then,
like arguably over like the 2010s. Let's be real. Over the 2010s, Tottenham had what 3 chances to win a trophy, like consistently. I mean, they finished second to Chelsea, they finished third in a 2-horse race, and they made a stupid mistake in the Champions League final. Let's be real. I think Tottenham would have done a whole lot better if they didn't start Harry Kane.
100%.
It was similar to Atletico Madrid in 2014. If they didn't start Diego Costa, they may have had a better chance against Real Madrid, even though Real Madrid in the Champions League final is...
He was rushed to fitness for that final, wasn't he? Costa was rushed to fitness. Yes, I remember that.
He was rushed to fitness, and Simeone thought, well, you are my top goal scorer, even though David Villa has been flaming amazing. Like, you're my top goal scorer. I need a goal scorer. I need a reliable
cheap
striker.
signing, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, from Barca as well. And he stopped Barca winning a trophy that season, which is beautiful. The circumstance being, however, though, is it's a valid comparison. If Diego Simeone hadn't started Diego Costa in the Champions League final, they would have been able to have a more assured game, because I think it was just the fact is they lost them in the 9th minute, and then after that it was basically, well, they've already lost a substitution, they're fucked. Whereas Real Madrid had 3 substitutions throughout the whole game to go, well, we'll just pick them apart when we need to, and then boom, the late equaliser. Extra time.
They were on the back foot, but it was nervy.
Atletico collapsed in extra time. Like they collapsed. But
100%.
in retrospect, Tottenham have only bottled 3 serious efforts of trophies over the last decade. Chelsea have bottled a fair few, more than that. I'd say quadruple that. Genuinely embarrassing from Chelsea on Sunday. And if I was a Chelsea fan, which I'm kind of glad I'm fucking not, but if I was a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't even know where to start blaming, because it's not just Pochettino that needs to be blamed for his lame tactics, but it's also the spending.
I knew
is
it was
ridiculous.
bad, but I didn't think it was that bad.
See, it's just ridiculous. Good to see you, Danny. Good to see you, mate. It's definitely significant when it comes to Chelsea. 1, the trophies, but 2, I honestly don't know where you can physically blame on this sense if you're a Chelsea fan. I'm looking forward to obviously Wednesday night, because Julio obviously on Devil's Advocate has a podcast of his own that does include a Chelsea fan.
Flagship. So it's the flagship show.
Behave yourself. It's going to be entertaining regardless to see how that fares out, because again, I'm not a Chelsea fan. I don't know what to think, but what I can think for sure is it is absolutely shocking, the deep-rooted problems for them, and they have got the nerve. Chelsea fans have got the nerve to say other clubs have got no issues, or they've not got as much issues as Chelsea. 1, that's partially correct, but 2, that level of entitlement that you had for 20 odd years, what do you expect to happen when you lose the greatest owner in Premier League history? Like, Roman Abramovich is dodgy as hell, but if you look at Premier League owners, name one better than Roman Abramovich. You can't. There isn't. Not even the Leicester owner comes close.
You can't even say Man City's owners either. Cough, 115 FFP charges and all the stuff behind it. But I mean, you got
Abramovich was on a different level.
The regression under Bowley, like we said a million times on this show, has just been absolutely ridiculous. But coming on to you,
we've all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because we all, in different ways, hate Chelsea. Like, we all, in different ways, hate Chelsea, but fuck me, it is beautiful to watch this capitulation. But the only time I wanted Chelsea to win a game all season was Sunday, and they let me down. No surprise. If I was Enzo Fernandez, I'd try to kick Pochettino, by the way, because that's his record of cup finals gone. He's never lost a cup final. If I was Enzo Fernandez, I'd run and kick Pochettino on training ground. I'd risk a suspension.
100%. I mean, Julio, looking at Chelsea coming into this game, this is pretty much their only opportunity to get European football next season, which to bolster
into the
their
Conference
funds
League,
and,
lads.
I mean, it's bad enough saying it that they need to use this route just to get in the Conference League alone. I mean, their league position of where they are, there's no way they're getting Europe. They have been just like last season. They have been absolutely shocking.
They can't even handle one game a week, let alone like Thursday, Sundays.
Exactly.
Could this be? You know what's mad though, and I just want to ask this: do you think this final defeat could actually be a blessing in disguise for Chelsea though? Because now, like Julio made a fair point. Like you made a fair point there, mate, about they can't handle one game a week. But when you look at one game a week, some of these players have never been in a tense situation where they've had to play league, then a cup final. Some of them have, but not all of them. Maybe it is a blessing in disguise, and now they can really go, we've got nothing to play for, we'll have to become a hungry animal and go for it.
It's like relax, but be hungry at the same time.
The thing you've got to remember as well, which just makes it even funnier, is that Chelsea didn't have a midweek game before this, whereas Liverpool had to play on Wednesday night. I mean, if that just does it go to show the bottling that Chelsea has and the lack of preparation going into this, knowing that this is their biggest moment of the last 2-3 seasons, it's just terrible, isn't it? And even with the bad refereeing decisions, for example, the Conor Bradley supposed dive, you also had the Gravenberch, Caicedo somehow not getting a red card. It's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I saw a hilarious tweet this morning because I couldn't catch the game yesterday. I was out I had plans, unfortunately. But someone said, "Don't let this Abramovich purple patch fool you. This has been Chelsea's 90% of their history." So no one should be surprised anymore. And when Reece said, obviously, in 20 years entitlement, etc., it just reminded me of that.
It's what I do best, mate. It's what I do best.
Yeah, Reece's references, I gotta take my hat off to you. They always bring something out of something. But
I mean, to be fair, I did compare Marcus Rashford to Darth Vader the other night, and that was beautiful.
That was brilliant, actually. That was brilliant.
In case you didn't see it, Nathan, basically, I compared Marcus Rashford to last season. He was Darth Vader from the end scene of Rogue One, when he's just blitzing Premier League defenses, scoring goals. And this year, I compared Marcus Rashford's this season performance to Darth Vader at the end of when he gets disarmed by Luke Skywalker. He's just completely humble, and he's just like completely humbled by somebody who's got completely less experience than him, and he just can't handle it. He is Darth Vader with one hand in front of goal on his knees. That is Marcus.
Jesus,
and I know people.
That's hilarious.
I know people watching love Marcus Rashford, but you can't deny that is a brilliant analogy.
To be fair, that's probably one of the best analogies in Premier League history. Like,
I had another one, but I can't say it. I can't say it. I mean, I could, but I don't know how people would take it.
Hashtag cancel culture.
All right, fuck it, I will. And then we'll get back to Julio. You remember what the image I sent about what I think of Chelsea under Pochettino?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is what I think. Another concept for Marcus Rashford potentially could be Anakin pre and after Mustafa.
Oh my god!
Like, you see all the talent, and there it goes. It's up in flames. It's just finished. But he could have a silver lining. He could become a Force ghost. He become one with the Force, and start scoring goals again. I don't know, but what I will say though is he has a lot to change. Anyway, back to Liverpool. On you go, Julio.
Yeah, I mean, listen, firstly, this Klopp wankfest is getting ridiculous now about how big of a thing it is, because if I'm being brutally honest, it's how Liverpool won yesterday. It's not that deep. It's not a big of a deal. It's not Rocky 2 when Rocky beats Creed and is the champion of the world. It's not that. It's not that. Let's look at the facts, right? You've got
Yo Germany, I beat London.
Didn't Klopp made a Rocky reference when he beat Chelsea in the Super Cup, didn't he, a few years back? Adrian, because
I think so.
Adrian saved a penalty. Yeah, look at Klopp's interview, Super Cup Final 2019. Adrian saves Tammy Abraham's penalty, and he literally brings the Rocky reference in.
I better give that a watch, actually, because to be fair, like, we can think of so many film references for football. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway, less reference, more destruction.
look, let's look at. I actually don't think Chelsea bottled it that bit much in comparison, because I just don't think going into the final, Chelsea weren't the favourites in my opinion.
I think they were. I think
Mm.
if this had been,
I disagree.
I don't think they were somehow.
I think they were. The reason why I think they were is prior to this final, they did get sparked 4-1, but pre then they did go in a little bit of good form with matches. Liverpool obviously were tweedling about, but also Liverpool had some serious injuries as well. I think when you look at on that circumstance, good form plus a stronger fitted squad, Chelsea were the favourites, but in the end, statistically, they were completely outgunned. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I personally disagree with the sentiment that, because obviously you look at that, but I look at the team selection of Liverpool. Kelleher played the League Cup final 2 years ago, and Kelleher has proved in big games when he's played, he actually comes up with big moments. So as a backup goalkeeper, I think if Alisson wasn't injured, I think Kelleher would have played anyway. 3 of that back 4 that started were their first choice centre-back, first choice defensive
Centre-back
pair.
partnership. Yeah.
Not just partnership, but Robertson as well. You had Robertson, Van Dijk and Konate.
Sure.
And then Bradley's now the undisputed backup to Trent, which I know isn't really like that much because Trent hasn't had really a proper backup in years. But
And he's also not particularly great as a fullback.
yeah, but Bradley is a decent player, and he literally did he not score in the 4-1 win at Anfield?
I believe he
think
did.
So. I
And
think
he put out a very good, decent performance as well.
Yeah,
Bradley
Bradley looks like a really good young player. Liverpool's midfield over the years has always been normally Fabinho in the holding, and then the other two just keep changing, whether it's Henderson and Milner one week or Thiago and Gini Wijnaldum the other week. So,
this hasn't been. This wasn't.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, I agree with you. I'm saying this time it wasn't.
Yeah, but obviously they had no choice. But what I was going to say was Liverpool's midfield has never been where it's been good. It's always been up front and at the back. And Diaz on his day is the mainstay at the left wing spot for me in that Liverpool side. You've got Gakpo, who understandably maybe isn't doing the business.
I think he's better for the middle, Gakpo. I don't know. I think he's certainly for the middle. I think he plays more instantly as a centre forward. I just think he's compensated for the left wing position because he's got
I think
pace.
that's kind of how he was coached last year. I think to an extent when he came in last year, he was coached because before then, I think he was playing as almost like some inverted left forward.
It's 2-0 West Ham after 7 minutes.
Yeah, Jared Bowen's just scored, hasn't he?
What the hell? Jesus Christ.
Because like obviously watching the obviously my dad's watching it downstairs and he sent me literally that ball and double eye. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I need to clip up that reaction of Reece. But yeah, and I think the one key component I've always said in Liverpool's side is Klopp.
I would take him, by the way. Just want to say, I would take Bowen at Man United. I really do. I do rate Jared Bowen.
He is a good player. I will give him that.
He's not the best English winger I'd have, though, but I do rate him.
Yeah, no, he's good nonetheless. Look, I think Klopp, the way he galvanizes those Liverpool players, he tends to make the squad players play up to a higher level than probably they even realize sometimes. It's almost like you can afford to have Kelleher, Bradley, and Harvey Elliott starting in a cup final in a Klopp team, because when the rest of that team is as experienced as they are and as solid as they are, especially at the back, what you need to look at is, even though they've got a lot of injuries, Liverpool under Klopp, good culture, stable dressing room, stable team. So they'll change players and still do good. Even years ago, when the backups to Salah, Firmino and Mane were Sturridge, Origi and Shaqiri, we saw what happened in that Anfield bottle job Barcelona thing. You know, 2 of those came in and still did quite well. So I think it's always been testament that, you know, like Klopp or whoever he puts into his team, their levels rise. And then I get it with obviously the young players coming off the bench. Fair enough. You know, Jason Kumars, Lee Clark and Neil Danz's kids coming onto the pitch, which I found quite hilarious. You know,
Kwanzaa.
prime
Kwanzaa. I guess one of the coolest.
and
names I've ever
Konza
seen.
as well, yeah. Yeah, and Konza as well. But
I
then
got-
Konza's played a
question
lot
for
this season, and then you've got Gomez and Simicast coming on as well, more experienced players.
Got a
I just
question for
don't
you.
think that this whole Liverpool, like Klopp won it with kids, I just think is inaccurate. I don't think it's as big of a deal as it is.
I think
I
he
just
more or
think-
less. I think there's a difference. I think Klopp won it with a team that's fighting as a team.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what it is. And you look at Chelsea, no, good individuals, but
Still
for
finding
me,
their feet.
Zero chemistry.
it's an unstable team. It
They
still
are.
looks like a bunch of individuals. So
They're
for me,
they're
going
finding
into
their
the
feet.
final, Liverpool had a team, and that's why they were favourites overall.
I think that's a fair case. I think that's a fair case to suggest why Liverpool were favourites. I'm just going based on purely the difference in form post that result.
No,
it
of
really-
course.
it's
No, I
significant.
understand.
But based on your explanation and your thinking, I do see where you're coming from, and this is what I was going to ask you.
Mhm.
I think when you look at Liverpool's midfield, last couple of years, it's been very predictable.
Hmm.
You look at this one, and even though he's 30 years old, Endo plays like a 25-year-old. Obviously, I know the one thing we know about African players or Asian players in particular out in that region is they are so incredibly humble and so incredibly hardworking that it's very hard to demoralize them unless you were to go and racially abuse them or insult their family or anything like that. But in terms of full on demoralize in terms of a work ethic, it's very, very hard because they're already questioned anyway back in their homeland. If you don't fulfill, then you don't make it. I think when you look at Endo, the way he's played since he's come into Liverpool this season, or like any other Asian player in the Premier League, for example, or across the world, they are very, very hard to demoralise because they've got such an amazing
very-
work ethic,
And very
And they're
energetic as well.
and they're very energetic. Endo as a 30-year-old plays like he's 23 to 25. It's quite scary, especially with the fact that when you look at the midfield Chelsea had, Gallagher, I think he's okay, but I don't think he's fucking outstanding. But see when you look at Endo in general, Endo made Gallagher look like a fucking boy. Like he made him look like a boy. Like it just looked like he just came out of an academy. And that I can't remember the last time I said that, but Liverpool midfield, they're probably Jabi Alonso. But in actual circumstance, it's scary the level that Endo produced against say a Gallagher, or even an Enzo Fernandez. McAllister again has beaten him in the duel. Caicedo, he's beaten him again. Surely this time Caicedo or whatever would have learnt a lesson. He didn't. They beat them again. Liverpool again have won the midfield battle. When does that consistently happen with Liverpool? It's normally, as you said, the defence or attack. The midfield, they just evade it. They just do their job, but they don't really win it enough. They don't dominate. They dominated every metric against Chelsea. That alone says more for me than anything else.
I think it says a lot about Chelsea and how much of a
Massively.
mess they are.
And I just want to say, I fucking hate her. I fucking hate her. Can they take Brendan Rodgers back or something? I don't know.
We'll find out at the end of the season.
Brentford have scored. It's 2-1. That's 12 goals now in 4 matches for West Ham. They've now conceded 12 and 4.
Yeah.
McAllister. Absolutely. Welcome in, Doug. Hope you do.
They all, the
He's
Chelsea
literally just proved my
midfielders,
point.
the Chelsea midfielders look lost in that midfield. That's
It's
the
because
difference.
it's just so unbalanced.
Yeah. We've seen what Liverpool's midfield has been like all season, to be honest. But obviously, Chelsea's are worse in terms of stability. At least now, Liverpool's midfield seems to connect and it seems to be in gear now. Because all those midfielders left and all those have come in. Now, obviously, we're waiting for the annual Thiago Alcantara title charge in April to come into effect. But at this point, I just think it says more about how bad Chelsea's midfield and how lost Chelsea are as a team. And I just think that, fair play to Liverpool. The way they won it was a big player stepping up in a big moment, which you could look at as fine margins in football, but from a team that all season hasn't really played, there have been loads of times this season.
100%.
Exactly. Because he's playing in that holding role. They haven't got anyone else to play it, so fair dues. And to think that this midfield still needs improvement, I just want to put that out there. Endo could end up being a backup in the summer because they signed a proper holding midfielder, for instance, like a quality one. And it's worrying for how good Liverpool could be, even with life beyond Klopp, if they make the right recruitment. What I was saying before was about the big players stepping up in big moments. We've seen time and time again this season, Liverpool have won games. They found a way to win, even when they've not been playing well. There's this whole, Klopp says, mentality monster. This team is full of that. This team has winners. As much as I banter Liverpool that they've just won one of everything in Klopp's tenure, realistically,
except one thing that I hope doesn't happen.
Yeah, but
there's still one that they can potentially win. He's not won yet, and I hope he doesn't do it.
The Europa League. But yeah, I think that's what it was. Liverpool always find a way to win, no matter what. We saw it in their title-winning season a few years back. I've mentioned it before on this show, where Villa away, Mane scores 4 minutes from time. Villa did really well to hold them to a draw. But, I think at the end of the day,
when it matters, it matters. And
the better team won. And I don't mean who played better. I mean it in the sense of, as a core unit, you could put your Conces and your Clarks and your Bradleys and whatever in a team that is built by Klopp, that represents Klopp. The way Klopp galvanizes that team is a key component to how that team is successful. So that's why what's going on with Pochettino and Chelsea, I feel bad for, because, like I already said, I didn't think Chelsea were the favourites, not because of the way they are as a team, and Pochettino as well. He doesn't really win stuff. I feel for him because I would have liked to have seen him win a trophy. But that's just me personally. But
yeah,
I just wouldn't call it a bottle job. Arsenal bottling the league last season, that was understandable. But from my personal opinion, I don't think Chelsea were favourites. I don't think Chelsea were in a spot to have bottled it.
I still think you can't deny the fact it's a bottling, because to be fair, you're spending well over $1 billion on this squad. This squad should be walking every single trophy available.
Contextually, yeah. Contextually, when you look at stuff like that, you could say, it's a bottling. How do you spending £1 billion and not winning anything?
The thing is, when you take the
not
microscopes
just
away,
but
it's just the waste of money on not even... At the end of the day, I don't know whether world class is the wrong word to use for it, but it's like spending record-breaking amounts of money on non-world class players. It was always going to deem to fail.
See, when I look at that Chelsea squad altogether, like who they've signed since Bowley's come in, only 3 players really, in my opinion, are genuinely world class or could be. Number 1, Enzo Fernandez.
Yep.
Number 2 is Thiago Silva. And number 3 will always be for me, Christoph Nkunku. Unfortunately, he plays for them. He shouldn't be. But for me, they're the only world-class players.
And he's played in the wrong position as well.
Absolutely. I think Nicholas Jackson's a decent player, but he ain't going anywhere. I think Cole Palmer's decent, but again, what did he do yesterday? Shat his pants.
Chelsea have spent Luis Figo and Zinedine Zidane levels of money on the David Bentleys of the world.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison.
It's a very fair point.
Yeah, I've also put some as well behind backstage for you as well, Nathan, just to further emphasis on statistical dominance.
I mean, look at that.
That is the whole game from yesterday. Although this is quite incredible. That is insane. Like, forget that. Get out passing them and all that shit, or even the shots. 21 fouls to 14. Are you off your heat? It gets worse. They just had them everywhere. Like, that's mental. But that is well and truly mental. And it says a lot when you've got the squads as well. Like, we're just going to bring up the squads one more time. When you look at it, let's
on
start with
paper, that
Chelsea.
Chelsea team should be doing better. When you look at the names on that team sheet,
That Chelsea team
Maybe
on
not-
paper should be getting 2 or 3, at least 2 or 3 goals. I think even Doug will admit that.
100%.
I think even Doug will admit that the fact is that Liverpool team should be getting should be considered at least 2 or 3 goals to this Chelsea squad.
I actually think
based on
that
names. That is
I
so
actually
bad.
think that if Salah, yeah, I agree, Reece. I actually think if Salah, the likes of Salah and Nunez, if Liverpool, were a little bit full strength, especially in attack, it might have been a 2-0, 3-0 final.
Potentially. But
I
then when
don't
you
think
look at
it's
this,
beyond the realms of possibility. Yeah.
when you look at that though, it's near enough a full strength Liverpool team.
Hmm.
But when I look at overall weakness and where I think the weakness is for this Liverpool team, for me the weakness is here.
Yep.
And I'm just when I stop is what I think of this Liverpool team. So Doug, I apologise in advance, but this is just my opinion. This for me is Liverpool to the weakness.
That
That
right hand
whole
side.
That whole right hand side. The reason why
For
I
me,
think
it's
so-
always been like that. Even say, for
It's been
example,
like that for years. Yeah.
yeah,
the
it's,
reason,
even
my
with
reasons
Trent
are-
Alexander-Arnold there, the way that he just cannot defend, it's
absolutely.
always been the problem.
Yeah, the reason why I think it's so weak. One, Konate's a good defender, but he's very injury prone. Connor Bradley, relatively inexperienced, despite being on the winning side of a final. Alexis McAllister, good player, but theoretically, is that the best place for him? And two, Harvey Elliott is just shit. Like, he just is. But when you look at a team functioning though, this right-hand side against that right there, when you look at overall battle, 4-on-4, only 1 wins for me for Chelsea, maybe 2. And that's Enzo Fernandez and maybe Colwell, because I do rate Colwell. But Sterling, I've
Sterling
always
is
said
washed for me.
I've always rated Sterling, but he's definitely finished. And Ben Chilwell is crap.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look on this right side, compared to Liverpool's left,
Ooh.
when you look at it,
Gusto
I
looks
only
good.
think-
I like Gusto.
he is the only winner. Gusto is the only winner for me. Disasi is a good defender. He's relatively inexperienced. Caicedo, again, battered by his opposite.
And the
Even though
fact is
Gabriel
with Caicedo as
still
well,
mental
how he
concern.
was still on the pitch on multiple
Caicedo
occasions
could have
is
been in that
ridiculous.
Liverpool midfield,
We're gonna
to
get-
be honest.
We're
Could've.
gonna get to that. And Palmer lost to this guy every single chance he could. Robertson just kept mugging him off. That experience, Gravenberch obviously went off injured, but Gravenberch was still in control, and Endo just had this man in his pocket the whole game. Like, you may as well have sent Gallagher to the Greyhound track, because he ran like a greyhound, but he was definitely not disciplined like one. And this guy got pocketed by him.
We're really in
Like-
an era where we're praising players for running around loads.
For me, I praise a player if they run, but they actually do their job. Gallagher can run all day, every day if he wants, but he can't do fuck all.
Yeah, we briefly discussed that earlier, Doug. That was an absolute disgrace. And the
Hmm.
fact that the referee fed into it was just ridiculous. I mean,
Weak refereeing.
refereeing appointment this weekend was terrible.
I think before we come on to the referee, I wanted to ask one thing as well, because this is obviously coming up a lot
Yeah.
from YouTubers, podcasters, and, well, because obviously podcasting a different variety, but football journalists and all this shit, they're all saying it fed into because it's, Julio touched on it as well, about the Klopp wank fest. But in retrospect though, a lot of people are calling out saying that it seemed to benefit Liverpool a whole lot more than Chelsea. But when you look at the game, both of them had their opportunities. Only one opportunity was genuinely taken. Chelsea didn't really take any, so I'm not defending Liverpool in this circumstance. But and also when I'm looking at it from an unbiased point of view, I don't also see how it's them favouring Liverpool when into the game it's 50-50. Chelsea had 19 chances, 19 shots, 11 on target. You're telling me that not even one of those couldn't even have gone past Kelleher? Same with Liverpool.
Kelleher did
21
well, give him his credit, but Chelsea
that's what I'm
Chelsea
saying.
don't have the firepower either.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying though. Like all these players have scored goals though for them this year. They have scored goals for them, so there's no real excuse. So how is it favouring Liverpool when both teams had near enough the same amount of shots to each other, but only one goal was done, and it was by a centre back? This is my point. Like, where's the bias on that perspective? I'm not defending Liverpool. I'm just trying to find the reason
Fair
why
argument.
they're saying it's favourite. Yeah, I'm trying to find it, but I can't.
Yeah. One thing I will say is though, did Liverpool have that many clear-cut chances either?
I'd say maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's
were
a couple.
clear-cut. Van Dijk definitely his first one that was ruled out.
Yeah, of course.
That's definitely one of them.
That was
I
a
think
disgrace.
I think Diaz had one, and I think McAllister did as well.
Yeah.
I can't remember it directly. I know Harvey Elliott had a chance to become a professional footballer, but again, like, he can't do that to save himself. I don't rate him. Doug knows I don't rate Harvey Elliott.
Seeing Harvey Elliott on the pitch gives me hope that maybe I could still make it. To be fair, I am in the fittest condition I have been in like since my football playing days, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So,
to be fair, Harvey Elliott gives me the hope that Anthony Gordon will be a Scotland player.
one thing I want to point out as well, isn't this a Mickey Mouse Cup? Why are we applauding?
It's this is the thing. This is what I don't understand, right?
It's a trophy. For me, it's a trophy. You win a trophy, great. I'm not saying Carabao Cup champions of the world, but
the thing is, for me, like
the goalpost
a tournament
shift every
is,
year.
yeah, it's still a trophy at the end of the day for me. Now that's just not being biased because I'm completely bitter that we deserved to win it and we didn't. What was it, 12 years ago now? God, that's flown by. But ultimately, I think it has massively diluted because look at the past winners from the last 10 years. Like I think
City won it like 6 times in the last 10 years.
Man City won it 6 times. The last
Mourinho's won it
6
twice.
winner was, well, them from down the road, who I don't
it's-
even want to mention because it makes me sick. But
Look
I
at
think
it, like,
that's
just look at
massively
the
diluted
record.
it as well.
Liverpool are the record Carabao Cup winners. Liverpool are the record with 10. I believe City are tied second with 8.
Yeah, let's have a look at the. Get the
Hang on,
winners.
get
actual-
Doug's comment. I want to bring attention to it.
The absolute record.
Doug,
belongs,
I'm not
unfortunately,
contesting that it's not a major trophy. I think it's a major trophy. I actually, the significance I hold to the Carabao Cup is that Mourinho, Sir Alex with his 2006-7 team, and Pep, their dynasties, if you like, Mourinho at Chelsea the first time around, their dynasties all started with winning the League Cup. These top managers take it seriously. It's a trophy. I'm not criticizing it, but it's just that when United won it last year and was like, yay, we won our first trophy for a few years, we were told to go back into our place.
His second dynasty. His second level of dynasty, let's be real, not his first.
Who?
But what I will say, Sir Alex, his second.
I wasn't. No. I mean, Sir Alex is like just his 2006 team.
Yeah, that started from the League Cup. That's true.
Yeah. Obviously, it
look
wasn't
at
his
that.
first
That's your
dynasty,
record.
but yeah.
It's the only trophy, by the way, from a domestic cup that Sir Alex Ferguson ever retained. He never retained the FA Cup.
Yeah.
He only retained the League Cup.
And there it
Which
is.
says a lot. That says a lot when we were.
That's why
by far
Gabriel
the most
Bonlover was always salty on TalkSport because he was in the team that lost that second cup final.
But that's because he's trash.
I know, right? I find it
Like,
hilarious watching him comment on the likes of Rashford and what they do at parties when in that horrendous relegation season, you know, when his, 11 touches in that same season where he had
Yeah.
that game,
Gabby
he was in
Bonhor
Dubai on like laughing gas or something during that relegation battle.
Gabby Bonhor wishes that he would get attention from his wife. And for fuck's sake, the guy's a clown.
There it is.
Like, he's an
Nathan, if it's any
absolute...
consolation, I rewatched
He's an
that final recently. It's a good watch.
He's an absolute cockwomble.
It's a good watch until you get to the penalty shooter. But let's say about that. Let's not
Family
talk about
match
that.
fixing, if I've ever seen it.
Is it funny though that Leicester lost the last cup final of the 20th century, but they won the first of the 21st? Like, how mad is that? They lost in '99, but they won it in 2000. Oh, Leicester won it the year I was... No way. Leicester were League Cup champions when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck! I did not know that. That is cool.
Leicester were League Cup champions when I was born. I was born in 2000.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 1964. I believe that.
Yeah, you can see in the hairline just there.
No, it's the beard that does it as well. It's still mad though when you look at Liverpool as well, that they won it 4 years on the bounce. Like, it became their trophy as well, and like in the early 80s, like they had never won the League Cup until 1981, and they just became obsessed by it. Like, well, we win the league, but we want to win this. It became bigger than
Like
the
City.
FA Cup to them. It became bigger than the FA Cup for them, which is mad, but that's just how it was. But look at Liverpool. Sorry, look at Man City. They've only lost one final, same as Birmingham. Like,
Arsenal have
insane.
won as many as Birmingham City.
Yeah, but still, look at that. 81, 82, 83, 84. Man City, 18, 19, 20, 21. And it took obviously Liverpool to beat them in 2022 to obviously start a fifth in a row. Like, that's mad. Like, that is that level where they generally took it. Like, you take it's the one thing I hate about big clubs, and I hate it about our club as well.
Yeah.
Always treat a cup with respect. I get there's rotation, and I understand that, but you're in a competition to win it, not to come second or whatever. If you're one of the big clubs, you're in it to win it.
Or sack it off because you've got bigger fish to fry, apparently.
Yeah, but you don't. But the big clubs don't take this cup seriously until it gets to if they make it to the semi-finals, and I find that disgusting. Like, I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a big club in these cups, you should be treating it like you're trying to win the league. You treat it like it's do or die. Treat the cup with respect. Treat the opposition with respect, and still batter them on the field anyway.
Yeah.
Not play just a squad of kids because you think, it's all right, we'll just mug them off. What does that say about you going up against another team that's full of professionals? You basically just dismiss them. Treat them with respect. Play a very strong squad. You can still play a couple of kids, a couple of fringe players, but actually fucking get a proper goal. It's one thing I hate about cups. Man United have done it for decades, so I'm not going to be hypocritical in any shape or form, but it really does piss me off, and I hate it when fans say, "Oh, we should just not bother with that cup." I was like, if you don't want your team to win a cup, then get out of fucking football.
Exactly, and in my eyes as well, those are the type of fans that if their team gets to the final, they're like,
they change their tune.
Yeah, they completely change their tune. I mean, at the end of the day, I've been like it where, can we just please get out of the cup as soon as possible? But at the end of the day, when you're supporting a team that's not in the Premier League, you need those games and you need that depth. So in some cases, it can benefit you. But
this is why I keep seeing polls going around. Like, for Man United fans, just it does my head in. Man United fans, what would you rather have? Top 4 in Champions League football or finish 5th and win the FA Cup? Me, the smart fan, I want the FA Cup.
Trophies.
Trophies are more important than a league position unless it's first. If Man United are not first in the league, then I don't give a fuck. Unless it's relegation, I don't want that.
Especially now that 4th and 5th are both Champions League spots as well. That kind of just sweetens the deal even more.
5th isn't. Next season, 5th is not.
Is it not?
Fifth
Is
place,
Italy
fifth
getting it
place
then?
next season. It's either Serie A or the Bundesliga. It's one of the two. It's either the Bundesliga or it's Liga. It's one of those three. I can't remember which. It's two out of those three. Sorry, but it's going to go to one of them. But I can't remember how it's going to work out. But fifth for next year
That's fair
isn't
enough.
for the Premier
Good.
League, but it will follow. It will follow. And to be fair, I'd rather Man United sack off and go for the cup. The fact that people are like dismissing a cup for a league position, I'm like, if it's not first place, then I don't care, because a trophy is more important.
100%.
100%.
Like there's only one title winner. There's only 3 teams that get relegated.
This
still-
needs to
there's still
be a
2 cups
debate
to
on
play
the
for.
show. Because I'm remembering when Jose won the League Cup and the Europa League, and at the time I was doing my GCSEs and I had a lot going on, so I couldn't really focus on matches anyway. But I wasn't focusing. You couldn't really take our league games on the Sunday seriously every week, because we were in the Europa League on Thursday.
They were more interesting. They were more relevant. We were way behind. We were way behind the league anyway. We were never going to win.
He sacked it off in January. He already sacked off in January. He was like, win the Europa League.
We're winning the Europa League. Like, he knew it in January. He was like, we're going to win this.
Well, we had a good enough team to win it. Let's be honest. I mean, granted, we got screwed with injuries towards the end, but some of the names we had in that side.
You'd have a mentality to win, and we did have that. But that's the difference. And any fan, obviously lower league clubs, for example, will just have an ambition to just have a cup run, and I respect that. So I will never mock a lower club like that. But if you're a club in the Premier League where there is so much money in this league, and you're telling me whether you're first or 20th to sack off a cup, then go and support something else. Go and do
especially sides like Wolves, who don't get European football anymore. They got it 1 year, obviously, but
I think it was 2 years actually.
Yeah, a couple of years. I'm generally at that point. If that's your ambition to sack off a cup, then what's a decent sport for you? Go and play badminton. Go and watch badminton. Go and play badminton, because winning trophies and winning football matches, whether it's 1-0, 5-0, 10-0, no matter what, if you play good football, shit football, end of the day, football is about winning trophies. And if you're not in this sport to win trophies, then fuck off. End of story.
Well said.
That's why Real Madrid are the greatest football club in history. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how they play, it's trophies.
It's the Galactica mentality. That's the problem.
Even before that came in, it was just winning trophies. Like, Chelsea had that mentality for a very long time. Didn't matter who was in charge. Didn't matter who was in the starting 11.
Now it's just been killed off with a session with getting Europe, which they're not going to get now because of the way that Topoli's running that club. But Julio, do you have anything to add before we move on?
That was fun. Julio's thinking about Albania.
Yeah, last week I went inside the stadium.
Nice.
So, did I send it into the group chat? Lads, I just walked through the front door. They've got like a bar, like a little coffee bar on the balcony inside the stadium. It's where the first Conference League final was. And I went in there and it actually was so nice. It's actually quite nice in there.
Nice.
Yeah. To everyone that's
Enough to add that.
Welcome this evening, of course. Please do get your comments in, like, share, and subscribe, and check us out on Spotify when this goes up during the week, because Nathan will be posting it. Just saying.
100% out tomorrow night, by the way, guys. That is a Tuesday for anyone listening back. But moving swiftly on, haven't touched on it in a while. Let's do a little Premier League review and check around some matches. What I will say, though, is we're going to leave 3 certain teams right until the end, because we have a nice little topic that I think is most prevalent now, but I think you guys are in the consensus that it probably won't end up happening, but it needs to be discussed, because this is the most likely point at this part of the season where it could happen. But let's check some games around from this game week to discuss. Villa 4, Nottingham Forest 2. I mean, Villa pushing in for Champions League football again. Ollie Watkins on fire. Douglas Luiz getting more goals. Julio, what's your thoughts?
Day's work for Villa. That's literally what it is. And the worst part is Forest are going to turn up against United now. So, yeah, that's going to be fun. But day's work for Villa. There was an argument being had in one of the group chats me and Reece here in. And Reece, I wanted to raise this question to you actually on this show because we're on the subject of Villa. There is...
Seen it, but go on.
It doesn't matter. I don't think you have. You might have that group chat muted for all I know. But there was a topic, obviously, would you take Emery at United? And someone said no because they think Emery focuses too much on certain competitions and he doesn't focus on everything. I just wanted to ask for your input on that. And considering I think Villa are making a push for Champions League and a push for winning the European competition they're in, is that statement plausible? And is there a good chance that they could compete on both fronts and even secure both?
So let me get this straight. The question is, would you take Unai Emery or not based on his ability to focus on certain competitions? And people have said no for the fact that he focuses on one thing but not the other. Okay, well,
allegedly.
Let me just respond with a different question. If Unai Emery didn't focus on the Premier League and he didn't focus on the European competition, then what is he getting paid for?
One or the other, though. That's the statement that was made, not both.
No, but
I'm asking if there's a chance you debunk the myth.
But that's my question for you, though. What is, and I'm gonna debunk your myth. Don't worry, I'm gonna debunk your myth. But I'm debunking your myth with a question, and I'm questioning. And Nathan, you can get your input as well before I debunk this myth. If Unai Emery is focusing on certain things, not all things, then up until recently, why was Villa the most consistent team in the league, bar the 3 teams above them, 4 teams?
In fact, even then, like Liverpool had their rough patch. Man City went on that one winning 6 run. Arsenal run out a bit of steam, and I completely disagree with this narrative under Emery as well. Because at the end of the day, why are they overachieving in the Premier League? And
what's he getting paid to do?
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty much pushing into the Champions League.
What was he brought in to do?
Even better than Newcastle last year.
Can I just
and say good evening in his interviews? What's the point of him otherwise?
Can I just say for the viewers listening or watching, I debunked the myth without even saying a word.
Yeah,
they've done it for me. Unai Emery, here for the people who are in Delusionalville. Unai Emery, like 19 other managers, gets paid to do a fucking job.
No, and a good job at that. I know he wasn't that great at Arsenal, but he was very good at Sevilla. He still won things at PSG. He was excellent in Hotel Transylvania 2 in the lead role. He's doing well at Aston Villa right now. So
he gets paid to do a job. And to answer your short question, would I take Unai Emery at Man United? Yes, I would. I would.
Why?
But it doesn't.
In one line?
Because he is a top tactical manager that doesn't come to league narrative.
And a serial winner. A bit of a serial winner.
Yeah.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, like,
we're not a league team. We're not purposely built for a league at the moment. I think we're more built for a cup circumstance at the moment, similar to what we were in the late 70s to the mid 80s. It took a long time to change that narrative.
Well, that's what we have been for the last 10 years, to be fair.
Yeah, I think we're still that. I think Unai Emery is very much a specialist in that type of managerial perspective. But what he also has done recently is change his narrative where he just focuses on cups and he's really taken a stamp at league competition. And he wouldn't be in a top 4 fighting race if he wasn't a good manager for a 38-game season. Plus all the cups, plus all the European matches. Aston Villa would never have took him in if the ambition was to not compete in Europe or regular compete. They would have stuck with trash, or they would have got the job to Chris Hughton. You know what I mean? Like, they would have went for absolute dross. They would not have went
kept
for an elite
Stevie G.
manager. Or they
The
would
thing
have
is,
stuck,
for me,
or they would have stuck with Captain Slip Up.
Captain Slip Up, I love that. The thing is with Villa, though, I think they've answered the question similar to what Everton have needed to answer the last 5 years. Are they going to be this team fighting it to get in the Champions League and really elevating themselves as a club? Or are they just fine with like mid to lower table Premier League mediocrity, which at the end of the day is what Everton chose for, and breaking a million FFP rules? But we'll get on to Everton shortly.
Or a better statement. Sorry, Reece. Let me just say this. Or a better statement. Do you want to spend loads of money and want to be in the Champions League? Or are you going to spend money and actually make an attempt to do it?
Or are you going to spend big money on a manager that's got a proven track record and then completely pull the plug? There's Everton. Everton pulled the plug on the best manager they've ever had. Like, in terms of success, the best manager they've ever had. Obviously didn't get a chance to win anything, but Carlo Ancelotti is successfully, on a grand scale, the most successful manager, and they pulled the plug on him. Whereas Unai Emery, in less than 2 years, has done more for Villa than any manager since Atkinson in 1993.
Yeah.
Like, they are genuinely... They've got the manager they've needed for so many years. They're now reaping the reward. Yes, they've tailed off a bit. They have. I think we all kind of expected it to happen at some stage. Excuse me. But the difference between Villa dropping off and, say, maybe a West Ham or an Everton, I think the major difference between them and Villa is Unai Emery, he has a preferred playing style, but he isn't afraid to still stick to his playing style, but make those solid changes that will force his players to take up a little bit of performance, inject a little bit extra out of them, whereas these other clubs can't do it. That's why I think there needs to be a little bit more respect on Unai Emery's name. And I still stand by the comment. Was it Tony Adams, the one that I brought up not that a couple of weeks ago, when he said that if Unai Emery was the manager of Arsenal last year, they would have won the league with the same squad they had last year. Unai Emery would have won the league ahead of Man City last year. Because
the thing you've got to remember with Emery at Arsenal is the reason that they very much pulled the plug on the project. I'm not saying the board, because that happened after for me, it was the fans that pulled the plug on it. I mean, Emery was given such a poor squad. The recruitment was all over the place.
He was left a poor squad.
Yeah.
And then they didn't add to it well, especially in defence.
And he still got Europa League final. He got to a final that he's renowned for winning, and the only reason he didn't win it is one, because Hazard was actually brilliant in that game. Sarri got his tactics right what was probably the first of 4 times all season at Chelsea. And finally,
Chelsea heritage. Chelsea always beat Arsenal in the big games by that point.
Yeah, but also Unai Emery's squad just couldn't be arsed at that point. It was almost as if they got to a final and they thought,
we made it.
But then what they should have realised is, actually, hold on, Tottenham are in the Champions League final. We've got to win something. But no, they're like, yay, we lost a final.
The underdogs didn't win that year.
Yep. It sums them up for me. It sums them up. And that level of arrogance. And speaking of arrogance, Mikel Arteta, he genuinely is going to go down as the funniest Premier League manager of all time when it comes to absolute capitulating a title-winning opportunity. Because they were steamrolling it, playing amazing football, and you might be called Arteta, but at the end of the season, you'll be called Arshetta.
Absolutely well said. I mean,
poetry.
I mean, for me,
it's... I do best. I love a rhyme and a poem.
In particular, if you look at that 4-1 against Newcastle, I mean, that's another really shocking result for them. Dominating once again. Ridiculous amount of goals in the last couple of games, but I think they're in a stronger position this season now than they were last season, but are we still seeing the signs that they are going to bottle it with Man City breathing down their necks? I mean, it cost them last year when they lost in a one-horse race, but I mean, this is like a well and truly one-horse race this season.
This
Who?
is
For Arsenal.
For Arsenal, yeah.
I think
Disagree.
there's something about. I'd love to know this, and this is genuinely the funniest thing on planet Earth. I would love to know what it is about Arsenal that they cannot get over this line, because it's 20 years this year since they've last won the league. Like 20. This is not just like we used to mug off Liverpool for going 30 years, but this is still
It's,
insane. Arsenal have not won the league title for 20 years, and yet, and maybe when you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 of those seasons, you would genuinely say Arsenal maybe or should have won the title. Like 05, 04, 05, up until the defeat against Man United when the invincible record ended, Arsenal, I'm pretty sure, were top of the league, and they were way ahead of Chelsea, even though Chelsea were still unbeaten. They just completely blew it after that, and then Chelsea were like, bye. They're like, see you later.
Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, may I add.
Yep. 2008, 2009, they, like, them and Liverpool were fighting for the top 2 when Man United fucked off to the Club World Cup and won it. Came back and they were like, how you doing? Bye. and took it.
And then got dicked 4-1 at the Emirates in a third place playoff with Goose Hiddink Chelsea, and Arsenal finished 4th.
Exactly, they got dicked. I think
4-1 at home.
Yeah, another one for me. 15-16, easy. 15-16, they should have won the league
when everyone else fell off. Yeah.
Yep.
I think the key question after their defeat to United, you know, when Rashford and Varela and Carrick as centre back, for example, the question that was asked after the game was, are these players made of the right stuff? 2 weeks after that absolute Emirates limbs when Welbeck scored that last-minute goal against Leicester, right? Not even 2 weeks later, I don't think, they lost to United's C team.
It was the words from Thierry Henry that were most poignant. Is this team going to win the league? No.
Yeah.
Just flat out. That is your greatest player.
The culture at that club. It's not. Yeah, it's not been made of the right stuff.
I always say this, and I don't understand, right? And before, like, I really want to get away from Arsenal, but this is my last thing I'm going to say on Arsenal for the rest of the night. After this, I'm saying nothing about that shit club for the rest of the night. When I was growing up, wow, let that sink in for a moment. When I was growing up, I'm 27 in 5.5 weeks' time. Fucking hell.
And 6'3".
Yeah, and incredibly smart. Okay, and creative. When I was growing up, literally like my birth all the way up until maybe 6 or 7, because I was into football really early.
Yeah.
Arsenal were renowned for pace, power, technical quality, a renowned 4-4-2 that had an out-and-out striker that was brimmed with pace, and a beautifully creative player in Dennis Bergkamp, and a very rock-solid defence. Fast forward, the FA Cup Final, they didn't deserve to win at the Millennium Stadium, where they beat Man United on penalties 5-4. They should never have won that game. Arsenal went from pace, power, technical quality, a 4-4-2 with a beautiful number 10 behind an out-and-out striker and a rock-solid defence, to Barcelona Light. Ever since they became Barcelona Light, Arsenal, for me, stopped being a relevant. They stopped being relevant in terms of Premier League title contenders. They tried to get it back, like they tried. I think the signing of Alexis Sanchez was a renowned option for that, where they're going back to pace, power, directiveness. But they stopped signing those midfield players. Yes, they went for young players, and I get that. That, like, moving away from Highbury into the Emirates, I completely understand that. But they still went away from those particular signings, and they became Barcelona Light. And after they became Barcelona Light, any team that went to play Arsenal that was a big team, you were fucking doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were going to just keep playing beautiful pass ball and then try and shoot the perfect goal. Whereas Man United would go, fine, here we go. Van der Sar, Rio Ferdinand, out wide. There's Ronaldo. Bang, goal. Ronaldo, Van der Sar, Vidic, Carrick, Scholes, Rooney, goal. Check. Carvalho or Terry, out to Lampard.
Simpler
Lampard
football.
bombs forward, goal. It's just, you go direct at Arsenal. You just go direct at them and you're like, hiya. That's it. But I will give Arsene Wenger credit. I will always give Arsene Wenger credit for the fact that it's like he will always stand for the beautiful game and playing it in its truest and most beautiful form. And I have got no disrespect to Arsene Wenger for that. But you can play the most beautiful football and you're still going to get beat 8-2. Like, that happened. And that, when you think of Premier League clubs, that should never happen. Like, Man United in the Premier League era should never have conceded 6 goals 3 times. But it happened. Arsenal should never be conceding 6 goals to Chelsea. It happened. Man United shouldn't be conceding 7 to Liverpool. But it happened. Like, there's... In fact, I'll eat one more. Man United should not be conceding 5 to Leicester. But this is the Premier League. This is what it's supposed to be about. But you can play as much beautiful football all you want. I'm just going to tell my attacking players, just run and press them, because they're just going to be a bunch of pussies. And Arsenal for many years were a bunch of pussies. And and I'd love to know the mentality of why it gets to February, March time where they capitulate quick.
Losing 6 away at City in December, losing 5 away at Anfield in 2013-14.
They just turn completely spineless.
Losing 6 away at.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it with them. There's something.
Do you know what it is?
That
the longer they went, the more it became an obvious line that they needed to get it across, and it got to a point where they can't get across the line. At this point, they just need to get rid of that line, get some cocaine addicts. They'll get rid of the line for you, and then they can just waltz their way into the club and they're Premier League champions again.
Yeah. See, for me, you know what's funny? You know when what I can pinpoint is how Arsenal can win the league. If Arsenal decided, you know what, we're renowned for playing beautiful football. We are. But we're going to go and get a manager who doesn't want to play beautiful football. We're going to get a manager who wants to play good football that is direct, that wants to win.
Or rather just effective football.
Yeah.
There's a difference between nice tippy-tappy stuff and then there's just being direct, effective, and scoring goals.
I know people love Guardiola's football, and why wouldn't you? It's effective, it wins trophies, and it looks good. But that style of football, how many times has been beaten by a high-pressing team?
Or at the end of the day, it's very easy to get found out.
A very fluent pressing team can pick the best passing teams apart.
Even Solskjaer beat that team.
Yeah.
Just simple. Get the ball. Great. Right. Counter. Let's go quick up the other end. It's like it became basketball games. That's how you blitz teams in basketball matches. Straight up there to Dan James. Man like Duracell Bunny runs. And then suddenly United are up the other end. And it's 2-0.
Directiveness is so key in football. And yet managers are so obsessed with holding the ball.
But there's also perception. There's also perception around being direct, because you hear someone say be direct and you think, oh, Sean Dyche levels of football or Sam Allardyce or whatever. It's effective. Not. I saw Sean Dyche's Everton side beat Chelsea. Okay, granted, like not much maybe, and
it's
Newcastle as well.
It's still Chelsea though.
But no, but the thing is, it was the perception of Sean Dyche is 4-4-2 this that. Yeah. No. What I saw from that Sean Dyche Everton side in those 2 wins at Goodison Park was a team that was very aggressive in ball retention, if we're going to use like big buzzwords, and being direct and quick, getting the ball up there quickly.
Yeah.
But it was effective. It was direct. It was effective, and it didn't look boring. It didn't look terrible.
I think it's only boring if you're actually not creating any chances. You're not actually you're not even willing to win.
If you're getting the ball back and just clearing it upfield.
This is why I get offended when people say Diego Simeone's football is terrible, or Allegri's football is terrible. How is it terrible? How is it terrible?
They still win things.
Exactly, like. Yeah, they might have at times 25-30% possession against a team that dominates possession. But I'm sorry, but how many shots did Atletico Madrid have against Barcelona in the Copa del Rey? How many?
I don't know the stat, so for me it's rhetorical.
25 shots to Barcelona's 3 shots, and Barca had 70% possession.
Morata wouldn't be having his best scoring season.
Athletic Bilbao under a manager that took Barca to one of their best ever seasons, Valverde, 29 shots to 2, and they fucking pumped them. Like they took them out an alley and fucked them hard. That is what Bilbao did to Barca. But you're telling me that football's good? It's not. Give me the Bayern team under Hansi Flick or Jupp Heynckes compared to the pish that I saw under Guardiola. Like, that team was good. It won three.
What about Ancelotti's football? Everywhere he goes, it's just
they got offended.
He plays to their strengths. That's the thing. He plays to win matches.
Bayern fans,
and it always looks good.
Yeah.
This is what's funny. Bayern fans got offended by Carlo Ancelotti because he wanted their defense to be a little bit deeper. They got offended by that, and he's like, "We're fucking conceding goals, you clowns!" Like, Jesus Christ. That's why Brighton are struggling right now.
I look at Ancelotti, for example.
Right now into the derby.
Ancelotti plays at 4-4-2 a lot of the time. I don't think people bring attention to that, especially like that Milan side. What was it? In defensive periods, it would become like a 4-4-2.
They play a 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-1-3-2 or a 4-3-2-1.
Yeah.
But a 4-4-2 was never traditional. They never played a standard 4-4-2.
I'm not gonna lie. If Ten Hag gets sacked,
I would annihilate
I
you
would
if you
love
said 4-4-2. If you said 4-4-2 again, I would have annihilated you for that, because it's wrong. He only played the 4-4-2 traditionally at Napoli, at PSG, and Everton.
Yeah.
Apart from the times when he played the 4-3-3, he played the 4-4-2 with those 3 clubs specifically. And it was a good 4-4-2 PSG. It's the last time I took PSG seriously as a football club.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone stopped caring after Ancelotti left. Suddenly,
but in circumstance though, like in pure circumstance, I've said it before and I've said it again. People have these myths and these beliefs about certain styles of football or certain systems of football, and they think it's attacking football or defensive football.
It's only terrible football if you're not winning. Like Jose's football looked bad at United because we just weren't winning games. We looked terrible against the likes of Brighton under Chris Hughton, losing 3-2, because the players weren't having Jose's methods. The players weren't doing good. But realistically, Jose, when he's all nice and happy and charming and, everyone loves him, when you're winning things, it's great. It's effective.
Absolutely.
I remember that Inter-Barca semi-final at the Camp Nou. For a majority of that game, it did look like Inter were not making too much of an attempt to go for the attack. But they were a man down with 60 or so, with an hour to go.
More than that.
It was around the half an hour mark. Mota got sent off. But do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, perception is now a powerful thing in football, and I think that we need to start having proper conversations about.
We need to debunk the myths of certain styles of football and certain myths of football. Because,
in particular, coming from the hipster sides, we look what we did 4 weeks ago. We
we did that tier list 4 or 5 weeks ago about managers and
Yeah.
all that, and the first manager I picked that I really wanted to prove a point was an Italian manager who apparently plays defensive football. His teams don't score enough goals, and yet we literally showed the goals scored versus goals against with that superior goal difference. And you're telling me he plays just defensive football? I love how mental football fans can really be about specific results.
It
makes me laugh.
the conversation around
these people need help. Like I'm sorry. I know that sounds incredibly
Reece,
harsh, but some of these people so need
you
help.
You put it in the chat the other week. Conte's comments about his 3 at the back. People look at 3 at the back and think, "Oh, he's defensive coach." No, Chelsea under Conte in that first season, I saw some really good some attacking transition.
It's only defensive if you coach it to be defensive. That's all it is. Like,
and even
that's football.
The likes of Conte try to make it, one thing Jose has said before, you can obviously look about and make adjustments and style of play, but there's also like principles of play. If you want to be principles of play are compact, of course you're going to work on that. And in the public eye, people are going to think you're defensive.
I've got a very good comparison. This is this might work. I need to make sure I word this right. So when I look at these football fans and their point of view, right, about a manager's style of play and how it's perceived compared to what they actually see, and they cannot change their mind, it's like, what's the film? I just want to make sure I get the film right, because it is a film reference. Just want to make sure I get the right one, because then I can go for it. We've all on this channel seen Terminator 2 Judgment Day, right? We've all seen Judgment Day. Now, I think that's the best film out of the whole franchise by a landslide. It is incredible. There's one scene in particular which stands out for me. What it is about people's debunked myths and what they see. It's the scene where Sarah Connor sees Schwarzenegger's second version of Terminator. When she sees him come back through time, she's coming to find John Connor because his mission is to come back and protect him. What's her initial point of view? Oh fuck, he's going to kill me. Whereas what you actually see is, oh shit, he's actually here to save my son. Perception is reality. It's like the fucking Matrix. What you see is what you get. Cause, effect. Consequence. Consequence of your perception is your nightmare come to life. Thank you, Agent Smith. Thank you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though you're an overrated actor. But in the circumstance, myth debunked. Get in.
Well said, Reece. Well said. It's a great way of summing it up at the end of the day. And I mean, my prime perception that I see with it, I say it all the time. Them not down west, but we all know that story. But aside from that, let's you know what? Let's get Man United. Go on.
You know what else? Another one. There's actually one more I forgot to put, and it's quite a basic one, but it's quite easy. Look at how the Scottish Premier League season is dictated by 4 matches across the whole season, because obviously the league is a joke because of the amount of teams in it and the split.
The split ruins it completely.
Yeah. Rangers fans will get fucking annoyed if they even lose one game to Celtic because they know the season could be over. Celtic fans go nuts if they lose a game to Rangers because they think the season's over. There's 4 games to play. 4. You can lose 1, but you can still pick up 9 points, and we've seen it throughout this football to a degree. 1 game can change a season, but another game can reverse it. That is another eclipsement of proving a point. Wow, I've really spoken like a prophet tonight. Something's. I don't like this prophet version of myself. Can I go back to the energy now and the insane?
It makes
chaos?
sense though, Reece. It makes sense.
Yeah, it
There's
does.
2 old firms left this season, isn't there?
Mhm.
Like currently, exactly. The title is there for the taking. The title is there for the taking. Both teams will look at it. Rangers and Celtic. I mean, you know the way Rangers have clawed back that lead. That
Incredible,
Celtic
by
had.
the way. They were written off.
Yeah,
Written off, and then old Brenda comes in.
Clement's come in. He's done a job, and then you've got. Whereas at Celtic, you've got the most hated man in the building as your manager.
And let's be real, you had 12 points and a massive goal difference ahead of Rangers, and Rangers just went and beat Hearts 5-0 and they won 8 games on the bounce. Like
Clement's gone in and done a job, and I will admit I have been very impressed. And the fact that there's 2 old firms makes it all for the taking.
Clement's still in 3 competitions because he's already won 1. He's not going to win it, but he's still in the Europa League for now. He's still in the Scottish Cup and the league.
Yeah.
What did Mickey Beale do to this team, man?
That Rangers team narrowly lost to Celtic at the start of the year when they shouldn't have. But since then, Rangers have went up a level. Celtic have been here. Like Rangers have eclipsed Celtic really quickly, and I'll admit, even I didn't expect that. I thought it would take Clement up into next season.
Yeah.
But he's come in. He's went. We're just going to play football. We're just going to play football. We're going to batter these teams, and they just keep battering everybody. And I think if you're a Celtic fan watching this, if I were you, instead of mugging off Rangers, I would genuinely think actually right now, even though we beat them at the start of the year, no, we really need to take you seriously now.
Yeah.
Because even it says a lot when Chris Sutton is actually taking Rangers seriously. He wrote them off. He wrote Rangers off ages ago. Like he admitted it himself. Celtic are nowhere. Rangers are. It says a lot when Chris Sutton is saying that. And
Celtic could win. Celtic could win the next Old Firm and still lose the league. Because they could lose the one after.
Exactly.
I mean, at the end of the day as well, it could take like a miracle or something, but say, for example, it's complacency at the end of the day, because who's to say that a Hearts could turn up to Paradise and absolutely turn over Celtic?
Shankly could just go, like, I want my Rangers audition.
Yeah.
And this is him doing it, because he's been incredible.
100%.
And I think he will.
And we got a Mr. Warnock in the league, so at the end of the day, he could turn up anywhere, sneak a 1-0 winner with a Julia Hoylett-Wilde. Put that into perspective.
Yep. And they were actually very good against Rangers as well.
Yeah.
Like in his first game, Warnock did very, very well. They haven't been particularly great since, but they're still trying to find their footing under him. That's not his fault. He's an interim, but I respect what he's done so far. And I think when you look at it, there's so many analogies I can use to ruin football teams' style of play. Easy. I can do a film analogy. 100%. I can do any other reference. And when I look at it, I'm like, it's so easy to debunk. Like, but it's just funny when people say certain managers or certain styles, that's all they're known for. Like, they will become that if they have to. But they're not always like that. Like,
there's a difference between making adjustments and abandoning your principles. The issue we got with Ten Hag is he's abandoning his principles and he's still pulling up with this shit.
I've said it since day one. That is his downfall. Abandonment. But again, this proves my point all along. And I just hate that crap. Like you're trying to tell me that that's like telling me that who's another alternative example that I can use?
Give me a context, I might be able to help.
Yeah.
That's like telling me that I'm looking specifically at defensive football, but it's actually not. That's like telling me Simone Inzaghi is a defensive manager, but he sure as hell is not. He's got arguably the most balanced side in Europe, and from that league perspective,
on a budget as well.
Yeah,
it just works.
In that league, though, particularly this league I'm talking about, it makes me sick. But it's so well effective, and it deserves credit. It
Credit
does.
where it's true,
Yeah.
Because it was totally different at Lazio. It was not like, I don't think, like, I rate Inzaghi as a manager more than his brother Pippo Inzaghi as a manager. I rate Simone more as a player. I've always rated Pippo more, not just because he played for Milan, but he was just a better player. But Simone Inzaghi has a wonderful tactical mind, and it's no surprise that he's going to go and win the league this year. It's no surprise he's going to go and win the league, because he deserves it. Because look at what he's done with that Inter Milan team. You cannot tell me that Hakan Çalhanoğlu is not in the top 5 deep line playmakers in world football now. He already was at AC Milan, but you can't tell me now that he's in the top 5, even the top 3. Like, he is up there with Rodri. He's up there with Kimmich. He's up there with Kimmich. He's eclipsed Frenkie de Jong. Like, you cannot tell me he is not good because he plays in Serie A. Like, it's frighteningly good. There's always a manager that can prove a point, and he's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people need to drop narratives. If you think a manager is just defensive football, then fine. Give me a complete debunk. If you think Antonio Conte is just a defensive manager, then give me 5 reasons, and I'll cut you apart.
People Spurs fans would like a word.
I'll just cut them apart. Like, I'll just cut them apart. Like, I think a manager will be defensive if he has to be defensive, but that doesn't make them a defensive manager. Like we mentioned his name last week a couple of times, and it was pure entertainment. It's Gareth Southgate.
Oh my God.
Like, I think we can all agree, Gareth Southgate's not a defensive manager. If anything, Gareth Southgate is a balanced manager.
He adapts depending on the opposition.
For me, Gareth Southgate is a balanced manager.
He's just not effective at winning.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, the reason he's not effective at winning is because he has his favourites and he doesn't allow that England side to flourish. For example, nowadays, why would you play Raheem Sterling over Jarrod Bowen?
Exactly.
Whereas you have a completely washed Sterling, and then you have a Jarrod Bowen who's having another incredible season for West Ham. At the end of the day,
or not picking up Tomori at centre half, like that. The team that he's got, the players at his disposal, I don't want them to, but England could go and win the Euros this summer.
Yeah,
they could. I actually think, I'll be very honest, I think England, bar France, Germany are obviously up there because obviously they're a home nation. But I think if you had to ask me who I think the favourites are to win the Euros, I think the favourites are England, back to front. I think they are. However, they will not win it because repetitive mistakes happen, and the other teams don't allow those mistakes to happen. If it happens once, it'll be in the groups, but then it doesn't happen if they get out the groups in the knockout stages. They become a totally different animal. I think if England didn't have that problem, England would walk the Euros. They would, because they've got the quality to do it. And Southgate is a balanced manager. He just won't go and take it further. I think he could have done.
Yeah.
He just didn't do it. And that's his downfall. But what he's got, I would love to have seen play for Scotland. I would take so many of these players in a heartbeat. I would, because they are incredible. But when it matters most, when it comes down to crunch time, can you trust a lot of them? If you're an England fan watching, I don't think you can. It's not just on the manager as well, it's the players. They when it really matters, do they take the chance? Harry Kane, for me, got far too cocky against France. The first penalty, you think, yes, you've scored this. The second penalty, he's like, I'm gunning for this record. I'm gunning for XYZ. I'm going to make sure I beat France. you should have gave that penalty to Jude Bellingham or Marcus Rashford or whoever, because their mind was not focused on a record. Their mind was focused on progressing to the next round of the World Cup. That is the difference. That's what Brazil did to Croatia. Brazil were already looking at the quarterfinals or the semi-finals. They were already looking. They forgot when it gets to extra time, you've lost.
Yeah.
You've already lost. If Croatia get you past the 90-minute mark, that's it. You're done. They don't get this. This is what teams forget, and so do managers, and so do fans. Learn your lessons. Just learn your lessons. It's not hard. Cardiff fans are still trying to learn.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, Reece was right.
You've still got money to spend.
Oh no, who'd have seen that one coming?
Just a shame they won't do it. But let's move swiftly on to let's tie a couple of the other ties off. Got to ask you guys about it. Fulham 2, Man United 1. Reece, Julio, go ahead. Where did it go wrong?
Cut open in transition again.
Yeah, same mistake again.
Same as day one of the season. It's getting ridiculous. Ten Hag wants to talk about the bigger picture, and I've been a staunch defender of him this season, but it's getting ridiculous now. Either his message isn't getting across, or the players are thick, or it could be both. Yeah. Ten Hag I just worry for Ten Hag, and I know there was a debate in one of the group chats about who would come in, and there is the thought process that Ineos want Graham Potter, he's their guy because they wanted him at Nice, etc. And I was like, until that's confirmed, I'm not going to go with that. I don't think Potter is the answer to the problem right now. If the problem is the managerial hot seat,
I think we need to disregard manager talk at the minute. At the minute, let's just not even acknowledge that, because that right now isn't for this moment. Not that I'm saying that we shouldn't do it. It's just at this moment, it's not necessary. There's so much more. There's so much more. Carry on.
Can I be honest with you? It's just the same thing every week. It just seems.
Give me some raw passion. Give me some of that cracking energy. Come on.
Yeah.
Get it all off your chest. Channel your inner
Do you know
me.
what? I think I already did that at the weekend.
Channel your inner me. Embrace my lessons of energy and just expel it. Let it out. This is your
I am in the camp of sell everyone.
I'm going to give you some motivation, and I want you to give me the energy based on this. You are Lord Vader. You're cutting down younglings. Fucking give me the energy. Give me some energy. Tell me how you really feel about this United team right now. Genuinely, tell me how you feel.
I'm getting sick to death, to be honest. I'm getting sick to death every damn week. Whether we win, whether we lose, we don't play well. Rashford goes up front because we've got no strikers available. People criticize Rashford. I don't see any service. I want to see Amad Diallo start on the right wing, because what is we didn't let him go out on loan. Okay, Amad Diallo, he's one of those players I think who needs a run of games to play well, right? How are you just throwing him on and being like, we did okay, did a little bit. There's not much he can do. There's not much going. Oh my god!
Can I just say, through the flick of a switch, I've actually brought some energy out of him. Pardon the pun.
I am getting sick to death of everything that's going on at United right now. I'm sick to death of every week. It's the same stuff. He's not good enough. He didn't pull his ass out. Every time we lose, there was that tweet after Bayern when it was announced Onana was doing an interview after the game. And then ever since then, there were certain losses that were his fault. And that tweet was sent out as a joke after. Every time we lose, for some reason, it pops into my head that we're going to see Onana come out and do an interview after the game. I don't know why, right? I just find it hilarious. But, there was an interview released today from Sky Sports that Onana did, talking about his tough start at United. it's getting ridiculous, right? How my cousin is an Arsenal fan. He was telling me today that obviously with no European football, Arteta finished 5th, right? And I said, bro, that's not a flex. He went, no, it's not, but it was a foundation to build from. At the moment, I'm getting worried that I can't see any foundation to build from. I don't know what I'm seeing every week. I can't tactically analyze what I can't see. That's something that I'm saying because, you know, sometimes I find like 2 or 3 words to explain one thing. Do you know what I mean? But I just can't seem to how is it shouldn't be this bad, and it's not good enough from any of them. Okay, like Maguire did all right at the weekend, but people won't want to hear that because it's Harry Maguire, for example. But I don't know. I'm just getting sick to death of, oh, our injured players are coming back. Great, we might go on a bit of a run now, and we did for like 4, 5, 6 games of actual wins, actual 3 points. Whether we played well in those games is another story. You know, it's getting ridiculous. And to be honest, I think most of this team, why is it every 2 years we're seeing a team that we want to sell everyone but like 4 players? It's always the same. Under Jose, we all said when he went, right, sell 80-90% of this team. Ollie comes in, makes us look good for a little bit, then he gets the job permanently, and then we bottle top 4, which it's a good job we did because Ollie's feel-good factor made everyone play better than what they actually were, you know? And then when Ollie went, everyone was like, this team is unlikable again. It's every 2 or 3 years, this team is becoming unlikable again. Unlikable again, right? How it's just getting ridiculous, you know? Bruno Fernandes hobbling around a lot. Fair enough if you're hurt and you're injured, but
it's like he's doing it every game at this point, and like I don't know. Listen, time wasting.
If a player is injured, I don't want to criticize them if they're actually injured, but I just think it's getting to the point that even when Bruno first came in, the impact he had on the team, you know, was almost Cantona-esque. I say almost Cantona-esque. The difference was Cantona was Cantona, and we won things, right? With Bruno, we've only won a League Cup, okay? Which fair enough. It's great that we ended our trophy drought, but United, I want more trophies. I want my team to win. I wanted Ten Hag to come in, implement this style of play. We're not seeing that. I saw a report today, United are looking for a double-digit exodus in the summer. We hear this every summer, and we don't get it. Now, I hope that with Jim Ratcliffe in the door, with his 25%, maybe 25% of the stuff that he says can get done, right? Because it never happens anyway, no matter what gets said under the Glazer ownership. But it's getting ridiculous. For example, Marcus Rashford, I'll always back him, but it's getting to the point now where I'll back him, but if his form doesn't turn around, then Ineos have to have a conversation. You can't be being paid that much money and doing the square root of nothing, right? There's so many problems at United everywhere, you know. How did we go from Casemiro being one of the greatest things to ever happen last season to this season? Man, it looks like you've left Casemiro at home and just taken the "for you, my friend" guy off the market, off the street to play and sent him holding midfield. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing good. Højlund's been good the last few weeks, and I was upset that he got injured because I knew this what's going to happen now. It's ridiculous. I'm at loss for words as to what to talk about, and I've been like this. Please, I've been like this since September. I've said this since September. I'm lost for words. Do you know what I mean? I can't talk about the stuff that I'm not seeing because I'm not seeing it.
So you want me to step in?
Please step in because I just don't. I'm just going to go off on tangents and I just can't be bothered, to be honest. I'm too tired.
Okay.
I've had a long week.
For our amazing viewers, this is definitely for you. But first, I'm just going to make a halftime change.
Oh, crap. For a second, I thought he was going to pull one of his parents' City shirts.
Okay.
Can I just say one thing? I don't like ranting into a camera. It's not my style. But in in fair,
This is what Man United pauses.
Yeah,
Just-
let's call it for what it is.
Just
It's
grow up.
a
Just
cavalcade of fuck ups. It needs
just
sorting
grow-
out.
Just do what I'm about to do, and you'll be just fine. Just do what I do, and you'll be just fine. But I think I need a particular hat for this one because I need to channel some real energy. So for our viewers, this is definitely for you. So just keep watching.
Did Reece say hat? I didn't realize Reece was a hat guy, although it doesn't surprise me.
Okay. Let's cut United apart. Let's cut United to business. Okay. So several issues with United, obviously. We know it's definitely performance. We know it behind the scenes it's an absolute clusterfuck.
Yeah.
But what we do know significantly is nobody is actually paying attention to their basic roles, let alone they're actually playing for their pride. Now, for me, one thing that's important in professional football, let alone the club you play for, the money you make, the one thing that stands out 100% is the fact that you are expected to know what you're asked of. Now, the likes of Scott McTominay and Marcus Rashford came through the Man United Academy. I expect them to do 200-300% more than a Casemiro who only got signed last summer. Well, not last summer, but the summer before. So he's going to just know Man United by name, and they're used to winning trophies. Well, where? McTominay, Rashford have been at the club for well over a decade, and yet they play like they've only been playing here for 6 months. They have no. It's almost as if they've lost the understanding of the football club. It's almost as if they've forgotten what it means to be a Man United player, what it means to take everything to Liverpool, take everything to Manchester City, take everything to Arsenal, take everything.
Even McTominay, the passion merchant, has lost his passion, it seems.
You should be taking it no
Ridiculous.
matter who's in front of you. No matter who's in front of you. Passion might come across as a buzzword, but passion's very important because if you're not passionate about anything, then you will never succeed. If you're not passionate about your job, you'll never excel. You'll never progress.
Yeah.
If you're not passionate about your relationships, for example, you'll get dumped. If you're not passionate about a hobby, you'll lose the ability to succeed with that hobby. So for me specifically, United lack elements of understanding the basics, but they also lack passion. And if you don't have passion, you're going nowhere. And for me, the killer blow is Fulham should have lost that game at the weekend. United should have went and won that with ease. But Fulham, like many teams this year, they don't just play as a team. They don't just play functionable, direct football that wants to win or to get a result. When I looked at those players that played for Fulham at the weekend, they played with passion. Every moment to them is big. Not like winning a fucking corner to them. Their fans were right in it. They were like, we've got a chance to score here. When we got a goal back, it didn't last long. We got overrun in midfield again because the Fulham players were all involved. They were all wanting to win the ball back, to immediately start a turnover, to get a counter-attack, to get a goal. And when I think about the elements of life, which is bizarre, but when I think about the elements of life, when I think about the elements of sport, the elements of winning, the elements of what it means to be a professional, work rate, hunger, desire, commitment, passion are 5 key elements. And if you don't have any of them, you are not going to make it. That's why Kevin De Bruyne is better than Bruno Fernandes. And I'm a Bruno Fernandes fan.
Yes.
Fucking Kevin De Bruyne can get injured for 5 months, for example, and he comes back and he turns a game around for Man City. He turns it around on his own. Bruno Fernandes has been playing consistently for so long. His spark has gone out. His passion ain't there. You drop him and he comes back into the team and he's got no passion. What does he even have ambition for? You've got your number 8 shirt, mate. Wow. I applaud that. I'm going to keep going for a little bit. Wow. You got a number 8 shirt. Big fucking deal. Doesn't matter what shirt you wear. You can do a Derek Riordan. You can wear the 99 or the 00 or whatever. You can do all of that. You are defined by your personality, and you're defined by your professionalism, you're defined by your ability on the field. And if no one sees it, you're going to get cut apart. Honestly,
the best players define shirt numbers, like
Absolutely.
Michael Jordan or David Beckham.
Absolutely. Well, easy, fella. Easy. I'm in a destructive mood here. We're not trying to make my mood better. Easy, fella. When you look at, I asked a specific question the other day on the Devil's Advocate. I asked, name 3 dressing rooms in the Premier League that you think are probably the best run in terms of experience, down to your fringe players, your squad players. So like your elite players, your veteran folk, your squad
youngsters,
players, and your
etc.,
youngsters, all, and the fringes. And I said Liverpool, Man City, Aston Villa are probably the 3 best dressing rooms in the Premier League for that. All across. We aren't, because there's nothing there. There's only 4 or 5 good pros.
There's literally there's so many gaps in between it.
Yeah.
The desperate needing to be filled.
And if you don't have that, you're not going from here to here.
Yeah.
To here. You're not going to get there. And I'll actually prove a point. My desk is electric, so I'm just going to keep going. Here, here, all the way up. There we go. I'm at 44.4 centimeters. I'm going to stand for a bit. But it proves my point. If you've got no passion, no commitment, no work ethic, no desire, no focus, no mentality, you're not going to succeed. That's why Man City went and won the treble last year as Premier League champions. That's why they've got a chance to either retain the trophy or go and do 4 in a row. They are extremely motivated and hungry, and they are filled with passion to play. You cannot beat that when they are on those runs. They're on those runs for a reason. Man City can lose 2 games and then go and win 19 in a row because they've got it here and they've got it here. If you don't have it there, then football is not for you. Like I said earlier on, go and play fucking badminton. Or go and play water polo. Or, I don't know, watch Dancing on Ice. Like, I actually think that's a good show, but that's just my point. But in circumstance, if you don't have it where it matters, you're going nowhere.
Yeah.
You're going nowhere. End of. That is what happened to Man United against Fulham. Or exactly. Or Rounders. Good shot. Like, if you don't have it where it matters, if you don't have all that, you're going nowhere. You're not.
And that is the reason why Man United have been stuck in a rut for these past 10 years.
Exactly.
Well, 12 years even more.
We lost what it meant. We lost what it meant. It's not just the ownership. It's not just the Glazers. It's not just who was signed by Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold or who's been scouted by John Myrtle Madness Myrtle and all that rubbish. It doesn't matter who's been the manager. It doesn't matter who plays on
down the ladder from there.
It doesn't matter who's on the field. There's key elements, but they've all been gone. They've all been disarrayed. That's why nobody fears Man United. That's why we're not feared. Look at young boys in the Champions League, not like a couple of years ago. Look at here's an even better one. Club Brugge under like Van Gaal, for example. Yeah, we beat them. But did they care? No. Look at MK Dons, for fuck's sake. They beat us 4-0 in a cup game. Did they fear us? No. Because
we're still everyone's
we
cup
lost
final,
we
but it's
lost
gone
it.
from, damn, we've got to pull our ass out, to
Exactly.
we could get, we're good. It's gone from let's see if we can get something to
Literally.
we're everyone's
Because at
cup
the end of the
final by
day-
name.
At the end of the day, everyone
not by
knows that
merit.
Manchester United are just going to go into each game with this arrogant mentality and then just get completely turned over
It comes from in
because the
there.
players don't have it.
It's all it all stems that it's not just your ability. You can have all the ability in the world. Like, for example, you can have the natural ability of Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
And I would fucking love that.
Right here.
Keep dreaming. You can have all the natural
It's
ability.
all I can do.
But what I mean is, you can have all the natural ability in the world of Lionel Messi. But how many times has Lionel Messi been beaten by, like, in terms of his teams? How often has his teams been beaten by somebody with a work ethic of like just extreme work ethic, like a Simeone team, numerous times? Like, end of the day, talent is everything. But the most talented teams can also be beaten by the hardest working teams. Look what Japan did to Germany at the World Cup. Look what Morocco did to Spain. Look what Croatia did to Brazil. Like, actually, even further, they should have won the World Cup final. Look what Argentina in reverse did to France. Like, in reverse, Argentina up to the final were pure talent and really dominated. But in the final, the better team was Donatello and his 10 men behind him. They were completely battering everybody. Deschamps was doing his great role as the master, naturally.
He made changes after half an hour.
Exactly, he did.
Respect a guy for doing that.
Exactly. He did all that, and yet, look what Argentina did. It's not just about moments. Moments happen if you've got this, and if you've got this, and the work ethic, and the determination, and the commitment, and the focus. If you've got none of that, you're going nowhere. That's why a player like Rasmus Højlund isn't the best striker in the world. He definitely isn't. But he's got the potential to be one of the best goal scorers because he's got hunger, he's got focus, he's driven, and he's committed. He isn't like for like Erling Haaland. He isn't. But Erling Haaland, driven, motivated, he's passionate, he's hungry, and he's desired. Rasmus Højlund has got those, he just doesn't have Haaland's ability. But he will at least work for it. That is the freaking point. And in a long story short, that was about, 6-7 minutes maybe? I don't know, I lost count. But in that whole period of time, we were outplayed by a team with a bigger heart. Fulham had more heart than we did. It's not even just low bar. It's not just low bar. It's not just low bar. It's just important.
The basics of football.
The basics,
as Fabian Delph said.
The basics are important. True. But there's so many things that you can't measure. You can't measure heart and all that. You can't. That's why Wales got to a European semi-finals in 2016. They didn't get there because they're a good team. Like, I'm sorry, but Wales in 2016 were fucking awful. Let's be real. Nathan will admit, Wales were awful in 2016.
Well, it depends.
We had some quality
on the football
in there.
pitch, yeah, but on a night out, another story.
Yeah.
Wouldn't know. But what I mean is like Wales, when you look at the teams who are in the 2016 European Championships, Wales did not deserve to get there based on that team. But they got there through heart and playing to their strengths.
Whereas you look at England, they weren't at their best. England were had a better.
England went into
side
it so
than
arrogant.
Wales.
That's the problem.
They always do that.
But this is football. Look at Portugal. Portugal were arguably the worst team at Euro 2016.
And they won it.
They won it.
Their
through,
worst team has achieved more than what they've. I mean, their generation came through a few years back and they won the Nations League, but
they won it through passion and
Yeah.
playing to their strengths.
And
That
having a really
is
poor
the
start
difference.
and getting motivated from that.
That's the difference. There's times where the most dominant team is going to reflect that because they are superior. Italy
Yeah.
versus Spain, for example, in 2012 is a prime example of that. But there's other instances where you're just going to see complete domination and not get anywhere because heart will always win. Mic drop.
you had to bring up that Spain-Italy game from Euro 2012, didn't you?
I had to watch the semi-final and that final and suffer twice. Just remember that. Just remember I suffered twice, more than you ever could. Don't forget that.
Yep. Probably. I'll just take your word for it. Nathan, what's next?
So what's next?
I don't
Should
know
we
if I
quickly
can-
touch on Tommy Tickle?
I don't know if I can expel as much energy as I did, like I just did there. I don't know if I can. I need to take a little break. I'm going to sit back a little bit.
Yeah, let's hand it to Julio and move on and touch on Tommy Tickle. There's your question, lads. Before we get on to the final topic, let's get this answered.
Leipzig are the favourites in the cup, aren't they?
Leipzig aren't in the cup. Leipzig.
They're not in it
eliminated.
anymore, are they?
Leverkusen and Mönchengladbach are the strongest teams left.
Okay, nice. So in that case, yes, Bayern aren't winning the Champions League unless Thomas Tuchel sorts out all the mistakes he's been making till now. Because here's the thing:
Scoring goals,
thanks to Reece, recently I've seen the light on Thomas Tuchel from the past. But what he's been doing at Bayern, he's been making so many mistakes.
Yeah.
It's
another aspect. He is not playing to their strengths again.
No,
he's not playing. He's not playing to, for example, what the Musialas, what even the Thomas Mullers really bring to this team. Like, there's some absolutely ridiculous quality in that squad. It's just he's not bringing it out of them, and he's making them negative.
Even a Harry Kane.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when the appointment was made last year, on the back of how the appointment was made and what it became, how it entailed that end of the season, we all knew it wasn't going to be convincing, and we all knew he would be gone by the end of this season. We knew he wasn't going to last beyond this season. He joined Bayern, where were they, top when he joined? Then they went into second until the final day, and then Dortmund basically went, no, we don't want the Bundesliga. You have the Bundesliga. That's kind of how it goes around here. It's like Reece deciding to leave this show and give it to me for a change. I'm like, no, it's yours.
At the end of the day, on that final day, which was just Dortmund did what Dortmund do best, and what they've done best for the last 10 years: bottlers not win.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, God, I'm sounding like Steve Parish here. At the end of the day, like, we all knew this was going to happen. Tuchel's a good manager. He'll get a good job elsewhere. They will go Trophyless, I think. Unless Leverkusen really bottle it, which I just can't see happening right now. I think if Leverkusen bottle it, they lose a couple of games at the end of the season, but only after the league has been confirmed for them. So it's not really bottling it.
That's literally when they just go on the beach.
Unless there's a massive drastic change, they don't win the Champions League. They're not winning the cup, in my opinion. They're not. Are they even still in the cup?
I don't think they are Bayern. No, it's literally
no, they're
just
not.
down to the league and Champions
that
League.
just says it all. Then they're not winning the league.
Bayern got eliminated by a fourth-tier team.
Yeah, I was going to say there was that upset early in the season, wasn't there? God damn it. Yeah. Bayern are going Trophyless. Sad times. Tuchel really needs to take his next job very carefully. to restore himself. Bayern need to select their next manager carefully as well. So yeah, they're going Trophyless. I mean, Reece knows the Bundesliga better than I do, unfortunately for myself. But Reece, do you disagree with me at all?
No, I don't disagree. I think the fact is this record-breaking run is finally coming to an end. I'm very happy because, like Serie A, I think this will really help the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
It will really help. It will help. I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see more investment changes in the league. I think that'll definitely help the competitiveness in the league get a bit more. But in terms of managers and all that for Bayern, I think they should either look around the league or they should look out with it. Be very smart. I don't know what Bayern's motive is going to be. To be honest, I don't know. I'm hoping that. I hope they. To be fair, I don't want Leverkusen to suffer. But if they take Alonso, it means Liverpool don't. But I do wonder who they go for. I really do.
More than 100%.
Should we move on to the final topic?
You know what? Unless you guys have anything more to add, let's get onto it. Now, I wanted to chuck this in at the end of tonight, mainly because, we've been doing obviously we've been doing our specials for the last month, but I think we've seen it that there has been a very likely scenario, and mostly between the end of Jan, start of Feb, that we're currently looking at the top 3 teams going straight back up in the Championship, and then the bottom 3 teams dropping. And I think, and this has become more prevalent now that Everton have had their points deduction reduced, which, considering that you have the likes of, obviously, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, who are in poor form as well, Crystal Palace, if things don't look up, even Bournemouth could be in a shout down there as well. But, I mean, ultimately, this debate has to be had. Like, I know, obviously, Southampton are dropping off, and Mr. Arrogant himself, Russell Martin, is really kicking his toys out the pram that they are slowly but surely starting to see how they're bottling it, even though we've all said it throughout this season. But at the end of the day, are we seeing that widening gap? I mean, it's more prevalent with Luton, Burnley, Sheffield United being absolutely woeful this season, but even in the Championship, Leicester being incredible, but a dip in Leeds on a ridiculous run of form, Southampton's just being stupid at times as well. Is that gap widening where we're just going to see a constant up and down of the same teams every season?
Yes. Parachute payments.
Yeah.
Whether you're going up or coming down, you're getting loads of money. You can buy the best managers, players. We're seeing a widening gap. I don't like that. I preferred, obviously, Nathan, you know what I'm like when it comes to the EFL. You know, I don't want the same 3 teams to go back up. I like the challenge of the EFL. Sure, I miss the days when you could have a team that has a bunch of like big names who are all coming to the ends of their career, like Cardiff City did once upon a time. You get that random team that no one expected to go up, they still go up. You don't have that magic anymore. I know Reece doesn't believe in magic and all that, but realistically,
FA Cup.
Teams now, it's going to get to the point where teams are not fighting. Teams in the Championship, we've seen before, spend loads of money to get out the division. And now more than ever, it's more for the money than ever before. Obviously an element for the money before. We saw what Mel Morris was doing. You know what I mean? But with all due respect, you don't bring in Frank Lampard to get promoted because he got you 6th place again and didn't get you promoted. He only got you to the playoff final because Bielsa's Leeds capitulated. But realistically, because of the money now, like Sheffield United, remember this time last year, we were hearing their financial troubles. Like they were turning lights off and being careful with the heating and that. Them getting promoted was a blessing for them. They go up. They didn't spend that much money, did they? They
couldn't spend anything.
To the others. Exactly. They're going to go down.
I think the most they spent was Gustavo Hamer, which turned out to be a very decent signing.
Yeah. They're going to go down. They're going to get loads more money. They'll probably stick around in the Championship for another couple of years. I don't see them coming back up straight away. But yeah, I just think that we are now seeing a widening gap, and it's disappointing. I think of the three going down, I'd be more disappointed by Luton going down because I
Yeah.
think they're the only club right now that just seems to still have a little bit of heart and a little bit of the old school, like sign proven players and that. But yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like I just don't like this anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With all these parachute payments, you know, thankfully there's a good chance that one of them might not go up because you still have the playoffs. And Nathan, you and I both know, and Reece probably to an extent as well, by being around us this much, we know what are in store when it comes to playoffs. Reece wants to talk about commentary. Gary Weaver is still the GOAT. Even the other championship playoff commentator, I forgot his name, he's just as good as well.
Yeah.
Say that last line again. Like that whole last bit one more time. Reece wants to talk about. Just say that whole thing again, just because I have a reply for that. One more time.
I said it.
No,
and
no,
I meant it.
No,
I said
say
it.
again.
No, you know what I
say
said.
again.
You know what I'm about. I've said it before. You don't need me to say it again. So just say your piece.
I want you to say it one more time.
Gary Weaver is still the GOAT.
Reece is about to drop a pipe bomb.
Yeah, he is. He's not happy. He's not having that.
Well, light a firework and shove it up your arse, because that is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever
Hey,
heard.
please don't talk about things going up my ass.
You're used to injections by cameras, but no, like, do I think Gary Weaver's passionate? Yes, but is he the greatest commentator of all time? Absolutely not. John Motson existed, my friend. Like, for goodness sake, don't ever discredit the work of John Motson. And don't ever discredit,
Nathan.
and don't discredit the current greatness of Ali McCoist either.
Ooh.
To be fair, he is underrated.
Love Ali McCoist.
But in retrospect, when it comes to straight back down, straight back up, first of all, I think legislation needs to come in as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like, I think there needs to be some element of I think the parachute payment, something needs to happen with that, because for me, one, if you go back down, you shouldn't be entitled to anything. Like, I know that sounds incredibly
What's
hard.
the incentive? Where's the merit coming from?
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
look,
wow,
we came up and stunk the place out for a year. Great.
That's
Here's
like-
100 million quid.
That's like
Exactly. Look at what Delia's been doing for years with Norwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like-
Where are you? Where is she now?
That's like.
Where are you?
That's
Let's
like-
be having you.
That's like me being in the UFC, having the natural ability of George St. Pierre, but I wrestle bums. Like literal bums, just to get good money and a big win-loss record. When
Isn't that what
Fiore-
Floyd Mayweather's been doing for ages now?
Yeah, but
Just taking these big name fights because they
Yeah.
get a lot of viewings and just taking the bag. No one credible, nothing.
like you want the raw excitement. And for me, if you get relegated, you're entitled to nothing. You were the three worst teams in the league. You're not entitled to anything except fuck off. We'll see you some other time. If you come up, then I understand something like getting a reward from the playoff final. Besides winning it, you get a financial reward. That's because you've earned that playoff spot, that promotional spot. If you win the league, you deserve all the money that's coming to you, plus the trophy. You get nothing for coming second, third, and fourth except Champions League. But that's still nothing. End of the day, only 4 numbers in the Premier League matter. 1, 18, 19, and 20. If you finish first, you're Premier League champions. If
Remember
you
when
finish
Champions League was actually the Champions League? You had the
Yes,
Cup Winners' Cup. That was more
If you-
credible.
Exactly.
If you finish 18th, 19th, 20th, you're relegated. We'll probably see in like another year's time. All that matters in football is if you win the league, you win the league. If you don't win it, then how do you get to that level of winning it? There is no fragment of. There is no other number that matters except 1. 18, 19, 20 is the formality of getting relegated. If you get relegated, the amount of money you get from it is wrong. It's laughable. I understand that some owners like Delia Smith can't afford to compete in the Premier League. No problem, right? But just because you get relegated doesn't mean you're entitled to 30, 40, 50 million because you get relegated. I'm sorry, but that should be like, for me, I know this sounds very harsh,
But see, if you win the league, every bit of money should just go to the league champions. Like that, I don't care.
But then that starts the whole elitism thing, where everyone at the top gets money and the rest down. So City win the league every year. Well, we get that already, but
exactly, because in my opinion, we're starting to see that so much now.
But look at it, you're getting. This is what you're forgetting.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get the TV. You're going to get the TV money. You're going to get all that. You're going to get your revenue. Yes, it will feed down. But end of the day, Man United finished 30, 40 points behind Man City, for example. Are we entitled to 125 million? No. Man City win the league
based on the performances, Lord, no.
No, but the point is, no. Man City go and win the league by 20 points. Do they deserve £200 million for winning the league? Yes, they do. They've won the fucking league.
115 charges.
With the charges.
But even then, in the same scenario, they still technically won the league.
Just disregard all the charges and all the bollocks. Fine. Here's another example.
True.
Here's another example. Aston Villa somehow win the league in the next 5 years. Who's the only team that deserves money?
Villa.
There you go. Second to 20th, you don't deserve money. First is money because you're the fucking champions. End of the day, if you don't win anything, you're not entitled to fuck all. End of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
End of. So it doesn't matter who goes down or who comes back up. If you win the league or you win the playoff, then you're getting a cash reward because that actually has meaning. If you don't win the Premier League, you don't win the Bundesliga. If you don't win Serie A, if you don't win Ligue 1, if you don't win the SPFL, if you don't win the Champions League, if you don't win the Europa League, if you don't win the Conference League, if you don't win the World Cup, all that rubbish.
Do you know what the crazy thing is?
You're entitled to nothing. There you go.
The TV money came in the new sponsorship in 2017.
Yeah.
2016 was when the official deal came in, but then the whole badge change and everything happened. But that was like a transition year. But we said it when we did the pure Barclays thing. We did it until 15-16 because that's when it lost its magic. Think of the teams that come up and went down before 2016 that probably, like when Blackpool went down, I would have given them the 100 million quid.
Yeah.
I'd probably get slaughtered for that comment and that opinion, but I stand by it.
Yeah,
I know that's incredible. I know it's incredibly harsh.
Another thing that you've got to look in that perspective as well is, I know we've got to look at it with the Premier League with the diverse amount of teams that came up prior to 15-16.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the Championship now, there was
a fighting chance.
Yeah, there was this narrative
always a fighting
that
chance.
everyone could beat everyone. But nowadays, it just seems, and in particular in the last couple of years, and I'll always stand by this, but last season was one of the weakest Championship seasons ever, considering who went up. Like a terrible Sheffield United side, who were second best because everyone else was dreadful. Burnley, who played pretty football and somehow won the league. And then you obviously had Luton with the fairy tale story.
But we also know if Burnley hadn't won the league or got promoted, they'd have massive ramifications. It was all for them. Funnily enough, was all or nothing.
Yeah,
it was all or nothing. There is significant issues with that. There is, and they won't get punished now. Even if they go back down, they're not going to get punished because of the parachute payments.
Because they've been protected.
Yeah, for me, plain and simple, and I'm not going to change my mind. Cheers, Julio, for that. Didn't want to see that. For me, I have got no issue with clubs going into competitions like the Champions League or the Europa League, because you've deserved that based on your performances. You've deserved the fact you're now there. But for me, in terms of actual monetary recognition for your achievement, there's only one league champion in football in your particular nation or division or whatever, or conference. If you're right down at the Vanarama, for example, and all that stuff, there's only one champion, so they should get all the money. Man City won the Champions League. This might sound incredibly harsh because I'm also a Rangers fan and you get TV money for winning a Champions League game. But for me, it should be just group winners, and it should just be the group winners and the actual winner of the Champions League that should just get money. Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't be motivated by money to get to the next round. You should be motivated to win the competition. If you're not in it to win it, Why are you there?
Exactly. I mean, the most disgraceful thing with it is, I'll bring it to the championship. Second place. If you reach second place and get promoted, you get barely any money. Well, you get money, but it's barely anything. You win the playoffs, you get more than the winner of the league, and also second place. Is that rewarding hard work? And no, I mean it's still great for an underdog getting into the playoffs and don't get promoted. But
automatics though, are we seeing certain teams bottling automatics for that playoff money?
We are massively in taking that gamble because they know they're going to be better financially. And if they go up in second, for example,
we're seeing the gap widen. We're seeing the gap widen a lot, which is a shame because, for example, in 2015, we saw Burnley, Hull, and QPR go down.
Yeah,
QPR were in a mess that season. Hull and Burnley both came back up, along with Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough went and splashed and brought in a lot of players that summer and went straight back down again, and they haven't been seen since. But like, there are teams that come up.
Elements of control.
There are teams that come up and they show some fight and they deserve to stay up, or they just, like Blackpool, for example. We love that Blackpool team that came up, and they went down on the final day, sadly. Right?
Yeah.
But then, for example, imagine in this day and age, the three that went down in 2011 was a very bad West Ham side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Birmingham City and Blackpool. Birmingham City won a trophy that season and then sleptwalked themselves to relegation after. Blackpool, we all love.
Manager.
Mm.
Just want to say that.
But what you got in that is, maybe you could give... Who would you give them today's money to out of those three? Maybe Blackpool, maybe Birmingham, definitely not West Ham.
No.
You know what's quite ironic? What is it with Scottish managers winning English trophies?
Just a reminder as well for all the viewers, how many times, since the Premier League's inception, not prior to when throughout history, which everyone should look at anyway, how many English managers have won the Premier League? 0.
None. Last time they done it was was the guy that managed Leeds in the old First Division. Remember his name. I can't remember his name. I just know it was the Leeds manager because it was disgusting, even though I wasn't born then. It's still disgusting.
Yeah. Exactly, but going back to my point, prior to 15-16, it was diverse. Like you get, say for example, every single season a new team getting into the Premier League. Maybe that hasn't been there for 5-10 years, maybe even a new fresh air or lease of life. Nowadays, we're just seeing same old. Like, 1 year you'll have, I don't know, a Leicester going up, then you'll have, give it a year, Leeds will be back up. We're just seeing the same teams all the time, even in the top 8. We're not seeing, like, for example, a team that's been floating mid-table all of a sudden bang into the Premier League after a good season. The competitive aspect of the Championship, which everyone loves, is dying because of parachute payments. And the more the gap widens, the more it's going to be like it.
If you get relegated and the parachute payments are removed, the Championship will be much stronger.
Yeah.
It will be stronger because it will force the owners to actually, okay, if we have to spend our own money to compete, then we'll do it instead of the money we've raked in because the FA are generous and Sky and all that are generous. No. There's going to be people listening to this on Spotify. There's going to be people watching this on Twitter and YouTube. And
Don't watch this. Forget what you saw about 5-10 minutes ago.
No, honestly.
That was a technical difficulty that just... You know when you get into habits of using certain things?
No, we don't want to... Yeah, you can ignore that part. That was one of the worst viewings I've ever seen. Like,
which I realise now that I've just said that with habits, that makes it sound a lot worse.
But what I'm about to say though is, like, if an ownership should be allowed to spend their own money without the fear of FFP or whatever, there should be a sense of sanction, but there shouldn't be so much that it forces a club into near extinction. There's no need for that. But additionally, in terms of like who's watching, what I said 5-10 minutes ago about who should be entitled to money, the reason I stand by that is, does that mean Man City have so much? Will that mean Man City have more money going forward? than what they've already got? Yeah. But is that because they've earned it? Sadly, yes. If Newcastle won the league next year, for example, then I wouldn't change my narrative because I don't like how they've gone across themselves. I would still stand by the point. They won the league. They're entitled to every single bit of the Premier League's money, not any other club, because they did what 19 other clubs failed to do. They won the league title. Whoever wins the championship, they just get all the championship money. Forget all the other 23 clubs that are beneath them, unless it's the club that wins the playoff, which I don't think is right, that the playoff winner gets more than the championship winner.
Yeah.
That's wrong. But for me, I'll never change my point of view. Like, if you win the competition, you should get all the money. You should get all the money, because end of the day, you achieved what matters most. You can play all the good football in the world, you can play all the terrible football in the world. End of the day, if you won the league, the money's yours, in my opinion. And I would have the exact same opinion if it was Man United. I'd be like, yes, here's the fucking money. I'd be like, give me the money. But I've felt that for a long time, but I'm now finally voicing it. I've never voiced this opinion before, ever. This is the first time I've ever voiced this. This is the first time I've ever voiced this opinion. I've never said that before about football. I'm saying it now. I've felt it for a long time.
Prize money, merit.
Yeah.
But exactly, it's prize money. This isn't. This is lamb for slaughter with a chance of doing a Jesus. That's what they're doing. They're getting put down for Easter Friday. They're shoving up for Easter Sunday. That's what they're doing.
We got loads of money. Who wants in? Not you, though.
Exactly.
I mean, it says it all as well when you got Leicester and Southampton spending ridiculous amounts of money and being in the plus.
They can afford...
There's your problem.
After a full summer spend, Leicester can afford to go into January and be linked with a £20 million move for a midfielder playing at the top end of Serie A.
Exactly. It says a lot when these clubs like a Bournemouth can spend a £30-40 million player on a club in Serie A for, like, compared to like a Milan. I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter about the Premier League TV deal. In terms of history, in terms of monumental success, you cannot tell me that Bournemouth should be spending more money on a single player than AC Milan, or Aston Villa can spend 60 million or 70 million on an Abu Diaby, but Juventus have got to spend 30 million on a similar player. No, it should be the other way around. Yes, Aston Villa obviously have won the European Cup, but Aston Villa haven't won a trophy in decades. They shouldn't be spending that kind of money unless
Birmingham
it's their
City
owner.
have won a trophy more recently than they have.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's purely for me. It's like, unless you actually win something, it should be your owner, and the owner shouldn't be sanctioned unless the money is fucking ridiculous that they cannot cover it in revenue earned. If you can't cover your revenue, do not cover all that expenditure by not being able to back it up. That's Everton's downfall.
100%.
That was Fulham's problem. This is serious conversation, and I can't believe I'm now doing it now. Fuck me.
I bet that feels so good to get that out.
Yeah, I need my attention taken somewhere. I don't know.
Perfect. But I am going to ask you guys this question, and it sort of rounds up this topic. Are we going to see this? So I'm going to ask you who your three teams going down for the Premier League are so far, and who's going up in the Championship. Obviously, the straight back up. So are we seeing this scenario? And if possible, if you can even think of it at the moment, because it is tight, who is going to be your playoff final in the Championship? Shall I start with me first?
To be fair, just do it between the two years, because Southampton are pish, and
They are.
Ipswich. I don't know if Ipswich are going to do it. I said Ipswich were going to win the playoffs months ago,
You did.
and I don't know if they still will. To be honest,
They're
I
dropping.
I'm just going to be. I'm going to be critical. You carry on. You do yours whilst I'm elaborating in my head, because I've got a Worthing situation to engulf in my head. But carry on.
100%. So my straight back down has changed now, obviously because of the Everton news as well, which I do think is absolutely shocking, because they do justify that points deduction, or maybe even more. But that's another talking point for another day. So I am going
I
for a
need my
straight back down
Optus-
scenario.
I need my Optus Stadium viewing. That's what I need. So there's what, 12 games to go? 12 games to
Yeah.
go in the championship, yeah? All right, that's fine. Carry on.
So I'm going for my straight down 3. I actually think that Burnley will finish bottom though, but it'll be like that with same 3 teams going down. In the championship, I think it will be Leicester and Leeds in automatics now. Leeds have got it wrapped up, sadly, as much as that makes me sick of saying it. And then for the playoff final, I'm going to go Ipswich and Hull in the final. I think Hull will finish 5th. Ipswich will bottle the playoff final, and it's going to be Hull back in the Premier League again. Moving on to you, Julio. What's your thoughts?
I'm just thinking, Leicester are going to win the championship. Do you know? I think the financial difference is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
You look at the discussion, like, you know what people were saying about Ipswich, for example, like they were being linked with a £600,000 move for Sam Hoskins from Northampton in January.
That's understandable. That's understandable.
Which is different.
This makes sense at this level, though. That's the problem.
But here's the other thing. You say that, but then people were saying, what are you talking about? Ipswich spent their way to get out of League One time and time again. And they finally did. So it's that, but it shows how spending their way to get out of certain divisions astronomically changes between Premier League and Championship and League One. Look, I think Leeds have come into form at the right time.
Yeah.
Say what you want about,
Sadly.
and say what you want about Daniel Farke being a lazy appointment.
Fucking Daniel
It
Farke.
could still go wrong.
Daniel Farke, the absolute fucking hobgoblin that he is, the stupid cockwomble, can't he fucking coach to save himself? Absolute wanker. Still in professional football. Fucking little bastard.
It's only because Leeds have decent players compared to the rest of the division.
I just fucking hate Daniel Farke. His arrogance pisses me off. He honestly, he fucking pisses me off. I genuinely don't like the guy. I don't like him.
Why? What's he said?
He's a hipster.
It's his managerial football. He's an insult to German football, and he's not like as a coaching method. His style is German football, and he can't even fucking do that properly. It's he wants to coach like a top German, but he coaches like a fucking Romanian. Like, no disrespect to Romania. Romania's a beautiful team and all that stuff, but still, my point stands. It's the shitness, and he does it with that level of arrogance in his voice, and I'm like, go fuck yourself, you prick.
Doesn't help that he's managing Leeds. Look, I think
it matches his personality.
Aye, a bastard.
Leicester win the championship. Leeds and Ipswich are tied on points. I don't know. I think I don't know. Do you know what it is? I feel like there's one more twist in there for the automatics.
There is, and I'm looking at them. I'm looking at them right now.
That's why I can't say Leeds are going to go up in the automatic. So I'm just going to say Ipswich just because they're level on points at the moment. But it could be Russell Martin, Southampton. I agree with you though that Hull win the playoffs.
No.
That surprises me. Did they even make the playoffs for you, Reece?
First stage. But they will not be in the final. I'm going Leicester. I've had to rejig what I thought at the start of the season because I had Southampton to win it and then Leicester second and I had Ipswich to win the playoffs. I'm going Leicester to stay as it is. I still think 6 points, even though there's 12 games to go, they're still not being.
Happen.
I still don't think they're going to get caught. I still don't think they'll get caught. So I still think Leicester will win the league. I think Ipswich are getting the automatic in second. And I think West Brom.
Oh.
I was about to ask, are we sleeping on West Brom?
No, you're going to like this. because I'm looking at the points, and it's still theoretically possible. Maybe this is just my madness talking.
Where are you going with this?
West Brom beat Preston North End in the playoff final.
Oh, to be fair, Preston
shout,
and
yeah.
Norwich are 3 points off the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
thought
I
you were
think-
going.
I think Preston could theoretically do it.
Yeah, if West Brom aren't careful, they can drop out as well.
Their current form, 4 wins and a draw in their last 5 games, compared to Norwich with 3 wins, 2 draws. Hull City 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. West Brom 2 wins, 1 defeat, 2 draws. Southampton 2 defeats, 2 wins.
Jesus, I've just seen.
Sorry.
I've just seen the point difference between 4th and 5th.
Well, 11 points for them, but it's 15 points Southampton
Yeah.
and
4th
Norwich
and 5th
Preston.
are there for 5th and 6th. Sorry, are there for the taking. I think. But
I think
Norwich,
Southampton-
Preston. If Sunderland, imagine if Sunderland got their act together.
No.
I
After
think
this-
for me at this point, anyone below 9th is out of the race.
So
I
Coventry
think-
is still in it. You reckon?
Yeah, I think if Cov drop any more points, I think they'll be out of it very quickly.
I don't.
Hmm.
I disagree. Just by looking at recent form, I think, for me, even though they've got better goal difference than Preston, I don't see it. I think that's it. Preston,
Yeah.
the gap ends at 8th position. It's, for me, if you're in 8th place with 5 games to go and the points gap is 4 or 5 points, you're gonna get the playoff. I think Coventry, yeah, it's a 1 point difference, but for me, it's purely 9th doesn't matter. It needs to be 8th because 8th is tied with 7th right now, and I
Yeah.
don't think Preston will slip up. They're in good form. I think in terms of who's going to slip up, I think Leeds will slip up in terms of automatic,
Hmm.
and I don't think Leeds will do well in the playoffs either. I think Leeds will lose to
Leeds
the winner.
never do well in the playoffs.
I think
Hmm,
Leeds will.
hmm,
I think Leeds will lose to whoever actually wins the playoff final. And I've already said who I think is going to win the playoff. There you go. As for who's going to get relegated, this is where it gets fun for me. This is
The
where
bottom
fun
3 of
begins.
Luton, Sheffield United, and Burnley go down.
For me,
for the
100%
record,
now.
Jared Bowen scored a hat trick.
Hmm.
Good.
West Ham won 4-2. Emerson Palmieri was also on the score sheet, and Juan Visa scored the late goal.
Mhm.
That was 82nd minute. They were not going to do anything by that point. For me, relegation: Forest, Burnley, Sheffield.
Wow. Luton stay up.
Yep,
You reckon
said it all
Forest sleepwalk to relegation?
I've said it all season. Luton Town will survive. 13 games to go. Luton Town,
It's still
they play with
possible.
heart.
Mm.
They play with heart. Forest haven't played with heart all season. I think Brentford could still go down. I don't
No,
rate.
Brentford
I
still
don't rate
could,
their
yeah.
chances.
Yeah, with the way that Brentford are playing at the moment, with West Ham's really poor form and the fact they got battered, ever since the Ivan Toney ban, they've looked woeful, and they are tailing off like mad.
Yeah,
For me,
I-
they fit in the hipster category of these small teams. Your Bournemouths can be added there, your Swanseas can be added there. These sort of small clubs, we thought it was going to be Brighton as well.
I think
Hmm.
The
one
steam
thing- one
runs
thing
out
people-
and the
for one
magic
thing that-
runs out.
there's one thing that needs to change for me is people writing off saying Bournemouth are getting relegated or Bournemouth are going to be in a relegation fight. I'm sorry, but what are you watching?
Yeah.
Like, Bournemouth have been playing really good football. Crystal Palace are fine. For me, I'm going to say this, and this is bold. Luton Town aren't in a relegation fight. It's Everton, Brentford, Forest. Like, I'm willing to put my neck on the line for that. I'll
I
put
mean,
my neck on that.
even though they lost 3-1 Sheffield United, look at the games they've had: Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool, Brighton,
And
Luton
had
are the
bad
most
many
likely
of
to
those.
stay up.
Burnley, they got a draw out of.
Of the bottom 3, Luton are the most likely to
Yeah.
stay up, in my opinion. And to be honest, I wouldn't be disappointed if they did. To be honest,
Same here.
Burnley
Question is
look
who
like
goes- yeah,
Burnley
Burnley for
are
me
going
finishing
down.
bottom.
Burnley are going down the way they came up in terms of with a bang in some aspect. They're sticking to how they're playing. You can't Man City the Premier League, and I think companies' inexperience at this level is showing, because the one thing is when you come up from blitzing the Championship, how do you get these players to like mentally overcome the barrier of not winning every week, because they've been so used to it last season, right? Sheffield United, like I said at the start of the season, they know their shit. They're going to come up and they're going to try and shithouse as many points as they can.
You know what's even funnier?
They'll aim for like 1 win from 3 games or like 3 draws.
1 from 5. Yeah. You know what's funny? I'm not even joking. See the Premier League table? I've got it right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Sheffield United have got 1 win in 5 games. Burnley have got 1 draw in 5 games. Luton Town a win, a draw, and 3 defeats. Sheffield United in the last 5 games are bottom of the league, but they've actually had a better recent game than Burnley. But the only difference is
That's
goal
why I think
difference.
Burnley finishing bottom.
I don't know.
Do you know what it is though? Sheffield United
got
have
the
goals
same-
in their team,
They've got
which I know isn't much compared to Burnley. Burnley don't have goals.
See, apart from their points, right, and the goal difference numbers, etc. Burnley and Sheffield United have the exact same record: 3 wins each, 4 draws, 19 defeats. Sheffield United have scored 22 goals, conceded 66, minus 44 goal difference. Burnley have scored 25 goals, conceded 58, minus 33. Luton Town have scored 35 goals, conceded 51, minus 16 goal difference. They're only two off Forest for goal difference and 4 points. And people are telling me Luton Town are a bad team. They're not a bad team at all. Yeah, they play in the best. Yeah, they play in one of the best encapsulated stadiums for banter of all time. Kenilworth Road. I mean, that's absolute genius. But you
Their
cannot
summer
tell me
recruitment was methodical.
Yeah, it made sense.
We said
What
that would happen last year.
what
It
was
happened.
what were my exact words at the very start of the season regarding Luton Town compared to Burnley? What were my exact words?
I can't remember. You're gonna have to remind me.
What did I say, Nathan, regarding signings and the league focus for Luton Town? What were the words I said?
I can't remember if it was these exact words, but Luton will adapt the league to them. They will
Bingo.
not adapt to the league,
Bingo. That is my mantra.
which is what Burnley have just refused to do as well. They've basically just played like they did last year with no plan B.
Exactly.
Doing in Norwich.
Absolutely.
That's why it's failed.
Absolutely. And that's their fucking fault.
Luton signed players who would fit their style and fit their culture.
Yeah.
And with that came the solidity that we've seen from them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sheffield
also-
United spent money that they couldn't really spend in like okay, can we just get someone? And Burnley went, we've come up, let's buy all these players and see what happens.
No. The difference is, though, is Burnley could spend that because Burnley, despite the issues that could have happened if they didn't win the championship last year, Burnley's owners are wealthy. They can afford to spend all that money.
Mhm.
Luton Town, if you look at the wealth of their owner, I'm actually going to right now. Luton Town owner's net worth. Let me just double check. Come on.
They're
Luton
fan-owned,
fan
aren't
owned.
they?
Yeah,
David
Luton
Wilkinson.
fan owned.
David Wilkinson's net worth is 25.74 million. Right? Burnley's
That's a
owner,
player.
but that's his net worth. It's
But someone,
There we go.
didn't they spend that much on Anderson?
I'm not sure.
Or whatever his name is, they brought a centre back from Barnsley, didn't they?
Trying to find. So the owner of Burnley is ALK, and they're Super Bowl. Obviously, they've won the Super Bowl twice. We know that, which is fair enough. But in terms of their net worth, this is just 2023 alone. Their net worth. To be fair, they did what the Glazers did. That's why I don't like Burnley's owners, to be fair. They did that.
Mm-hmm.
So So Malcolm Jenkins, who's involved with them, he's one of the investors. He's worth $93 million alone, which is crazy. He's got higher net worth than Drogba and Torres. The exact wealth of them. Where is it? It's not giving me what I want. There you go. Actually, never mind. Yeah, even so, it still eclipses them. It's £78 million is their net worth compared to David Wilkinson's 25 million. So theoretically, I'm not expecting Luton Town to spend £20 million on a striker. I'm not expecting Luton Town to spend £30 million on a central midfielder. I'm expecting Luton Town to spend £2 to $4 million on a fullback. I'm expecting them to spend $1 million on a goalkeeper, for example.
Or 5s and 10s at the most.
Yes, I'm expecting methodical, smart from them.
Yeah.
From Burnley, because of your net worth, yes, it's 78 million. You will get the revenue and all that. I'm expecting at least 3 signings at 25 million, roughly, or 20 million each. I'm expecting to see that. And I'm expecting it to actually represent what you're actually trying to play. Luton Town signed Ross Barkley, who's crap, but he's been playing a system that benefits him, and he's been their best player. Like, there's elements, and then there's basic understanding. Luton Town have understanding. Burnley, fuck all.
Exactly.
Can I retire now?
Well said. Boy, Reece has been on fire tonight. We all know that. But
Reece is on
2
fire.
hours.
Your viewers are
41.
terrified. Reece is on
on
fire.
fire.
That'd probably be my best performance.
Smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. But 2 hours 41. 40. We're going to wrap it up here, guys. Let me know your parting comments.
I ain't
Thank you
got
very
any.
much.
Well, if you're looking for a nice new show to watch, come watch Talk of the League. It's the flagship show on the Devil's Advocate channel. They've also got a new show coming out on there tomorrow, The United Road, hosted by Callum Stone. It's going to be star-studded. But yeah, if you want to watch us batter Chelsea even more, we have Evan, the Chelsea fan, as every week this week on Talk of the League. And as you can imagine, we will laugh in his face.
Yeah, make sure to check. Oh, God.
Come find us there.
Yeah, make sure to check it out, guys. Honestly, we've bashed Chelsea enough tonight. We need
One
to see
final
these guys do
comment.
it even more.
Cardiff
one
won a
final
game
comment.
at home.
First time in 3 months.
Errol's at the
Absolutely
wheel.
ridiculous. Errol bullets bomb me on me. But we got Bristol City this week, so we're going to get battered again. And then we're back to reality. So I'll leave it there for you guys. If you want to see a rant, check it out on my channel probably on Sunday.
Humbled.
For me,
And yeah,
my closing comments, obviously, to everyone that has watched tonight, thank you. You've been an absolute pleasure. It's been an enjoyment for letting me produce the greatest performance in podcast history. In circumstance, of course, that was energy that I bring without needing sugar. I am natural energy. You can catch me obviously on the Weekly Steel Chair, which is obviously my wrestling channel, which I've got a little bit more content coming out this week as well. The new game obviously comes out very soon, which
next Friday, isn't it?
8th of March it comes out, so it's 2 weeks. So content will be coming straight for that. The Twitch channel will be coming back as well, because I've got a few things for that to do as well. But in circumstance, also you can find me on Devil's Advocate here every Monday night. And all I'm going to say is I'm big for Hampton, but the little things definitely make smiles happen. And with that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tonight. It's been an amazing show. I hope you have all had fun with us. I apologise for Nathan's phone drop, not Nathan's phone, Julio's phone for dropping. That's a site that even Maggie Thatcher would probably jump back in for. But in circumstance being, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. And United, I beg for a win this weekend, please. Thank you.
100%. And we'll all be here next week when we see these guys back on the rant again, dissecting another Manchester United loss, more than likely. But aside from that, we'll leave it to you. Have a great week, guys. And yeah, will I be happy next week? Will I be ranting about Cardiff City next week after another derby loss? Reece already knows the verdict. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy it, lads.
Live on YouTube. And listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.